Yeah, no, it's a good point. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. The happiest of birthdays. Hello, hello. Who is ready to make some holiday cocktails? I know I see one person who's gonna be cooking. I guess we're kind of cooking. We've got some syrups to make. I see one person I know who's gonna be cooking with me today. Do I have any? Hi, hello, over in YouTube, hello. Hi on YouTube, hi on Twitch. Hello, everyone. Hey, Lindsay. I'm glad you could join us today. Guys, I can't see. I have a huge smudge on one of these lenses. My husband would be alarmed at how my glasses are right now. I spend so much time blow drying my hair, but I can't be bothered to clean glasses. It's fine. There we go. Woo, much better. Oh, it's your granddaughter's third birthday. Nice. Very cool. Well, happy birthday to us. You ready to get smashed? Nice. I like it. Ready to take notes? Okay. I like it. That's the point. I figure
What do you need?
I need honey and agave, and you're in front of the camera.
And
Honey and agave. That's it.
Oh, wait.
No, I already cleaned my glasses. They're good.
Right.
They're good. No, they're good because they're not good up top, but like where I'm actually looking through them, they're fine. I cleaned them yesterday, so they're not too bad. Oh goodness. We're getting on a Sunday morning. I figure by the time I actually start putting cocktails together, it's gonna be close to lunchtime. So it'll be fine. Plus, like, cause we're so far back from East Coast, so like if you're East Coast or further in, like if you're like in the UK or something like that, which I know we have a couple people here who are in like Europe kind of area, that like it's already past midday for y'all. So you guys are good. Like it's time, it's been time. So we're fine. Okay, what is this ginormous? I need this arrow to go away. Too many. Okay. My chat needs to be bigger. Ooh. We're gonna give everybody just a couple more minutes to get in, get situated.
Enough honey?
Lindsay, I know your name.
You need that enough?
Yeah, technically this is enough. This is also technically enough. We'll be good. All right, I'm just gonna set this here. I was trying to figure out which ones I wanted to make first. I think we're gonna do the cranberry syrup first, and then the champagne syrup, and then the triple simple syrup, in that order, and then probably make the cocktails in that order as the syrups cool off in the refrigerator. But I figured the thickest syrup should go first so that it has more time to cool in my refrigerator. And I probably will also portion some of it out of the pot so that it's in a smaller container, more surface area, cools faster so that we can make the cocktail faster. But yeah, we'll be doing, instead of, I know that it makes more sense to do like a cocktail, a cocktail, a cocktail so that you can kind of follow the recipe straight through. But I want to be able to get like, to have all the syrups kind of done and cooling so that it's not like shaking a warm cocktail with ice. It just dilutes it too much. So thank you.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
5 p.m. in England, perfect. 5 p.m. in Ireland, love it. Okay, we'll see you later. Have fun at brunch. That sounds great. Holiday as in Christmas? I mean, not necessarily. We have the American like Thanksgiving coming up. So families usually get together I think it's November 27th this year, I think. I don't know what the date is. So I assumed that people will probably be doing that. Plus New Year's, there's champagne in 2 of these cocktails, or a sparkling wine in 2 of these cocktails. So yeah, pretty good through like just the whole season. Let's just call it the whole season. Yeah, Canada already had their Thanksgiving back in October. Holy cow. 71 pounds? Yikes. That's not a pound sign. Euro. That's a euro sign. I'm fine. It's 10:30 here. I should be awake by now. It's fine. Definitely not a pound. That's, yeah. Everyone can laugh with me. I didn't recognize the euro symbol for a second. Yeah, that's quite expensive. I think I spent, the most I've ever spent on a turkey, I think I spent 60 USD for a 20-pound turkey that was like a heritage turkey kind of situation. I probably won't ever do that again. Yeah, I know what the pound sign looked like. That's why it's like my brain immediately went like Europe, and then I was like, I know that's not the pound sign, and then I was like, oh, that's actually, yeah, come on, it's the euro symbol. We're fine.
Mistakes.
Sometimes it just takes me a little extra connection to get there. Thanks, Diego. I will try to have a good stream. I feel like we're gonna have a good stream. Look at all the fresh ingredients we got here. We're ready to go. No, not 82, 62. 62. 6'2". Not to be confused with 6'7", which is major in our house right now. I'm sure it is with a lot of you. It's what we call a blonde moment, a blue moment. Oh my God. Oh no, it's everywhere. I kid you not. My sister was like, I don't have time to come up with a costume. I need something that's just like ridiculous but easy. And she went out and bought Mylar balloons. She bought a 6 and a 7 and then strung them together and was 6'7" for Halloween and just walked around with that. It's banned from your classroom. It makes sense. If I never hear that, I will die happy. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just, it's kind of like more like an earworm, where it's like you say it a certain way and then like everybody just likes to kind of be silly in the way that they say it and like draw attention to it, but it really doesn't mean anything. Yeah, you can't forget the hand motions. It's a thing. God. Your littles are obsessed with it. So are mine. So are mine. It's just, yeah. Yeah. It's just, yeah. Oh, sweet. Nice, Lindsay. Yeah, I like some gin. Gin and tequila are probably my 2 favorite spirits to mess with, to play with. I know gin can be a little abrasive for people because it is so heavily like spiced with herbs and things like that. And juniper isn't for everybody. But I find if you can get like a citrus forward kind of fresh, clean gin, I feel like you can do so much with it. There's so much play. I didn't see that auto patch. I have not seen that. And I'm kind of glad. I haven't seen that yet. What am I gonna do today? I'm gonna make some cocktails. We're gonna make, okay, so we'll kind of get started a little bit. I'm gonna make 3 cocktails. We've got a cranberry-ginger French 75. We have a barrel-aged bee's knees and a grapefruit champagne Negroni sour. Important things to know, all of these use gin. The barrel-aged comes from the fact that it's a bourbon barrel-aged gin that I will be using. I currently have all of my spirits in the refrigerator, kind of chilling, and then I've got my glassware in my freezer. Actually, I should probably start the playlist, the actual video, so that this will actually be captured, not as part of the live. Okay, any last minute hellos and things? Gin tastes how floor cleaner smells to me. I get it. You can make, I would not suggest doing this with the bee's knees, but if you wanted to, because it's really, then it's just kind of like a sour, like it really wouldn't be much. If you wanted to do the Negroni sour, or if you wanted to do the cranberry ginger French 75, I think the French 75 is probably the best one to substitute, but you could substitute either of those two with vodka and you would be fine. And then you don't have to have any flavor, because that's all gin is. Gin is vodka that's been flavored with herbs and stuff. That's what it is. Yep, vodka. Shout out to vodka. Okay. Can't wait to make these. What are you gonna make, Scooter? Which one are you making all of them, or are you just making one of them, Scooter Pops? Thanks, Emily. Whew, I really need to, can I try to up the text here at all? Ugh. Here.
Top shot.
Oh, that is not what I want. Okay. I have no idea how to make this text bigger, because it is a pop out. I guess let's see, where did we actually come from? See if I can, there we go. Yay, I can read it now. Sorry, I needed to make the text bigger on one of the chats because my God. Okay. Now I can read everything. I'll make them all over the next couple days. Oh, cool, sweet. Today you're gonna do the Negroni sour, fun. I've recently tried to cook more. It's crazy how all my common sense just goes out the window. Cook until done means. It can be, okay, cook until done is a terrible descriptor. I'm really sorry that you're finding recipes that have that as the instruction. Because try to find recipes, like if you're unsure about following your instinct on cooking, or you feel like you don't have an instinct or you don't have enough experience, and you're really like nervous, look for recipes where they give like visual or like, you know, something that like just any kind of cues, right? So like you should see this, you should smell this, it should feel like this, like any kind of cues that are helpful for you to follow so that you know what done means. Even better if they can give you a temperature that says, hey, here's the temperature you should be at, and then this is what you cook at this temperature. The internal temperature should be at this when it is done. You can check after this many minutes, and then, you know, like that kind of a thing, and it gives you like really, really good understanding of like where your range and your parameters are. Like try to find recipes that have that, because like, yeah, that's a scary. Cook until done. Cool. Love. Thanks so much. I know exactly what that means. Yeah. Try to find stuff that has cues. Will I ever do a kitchen layout idea video? We are doing kitchen renovations and working on a redesign. I mean, what, like things I have in my kitchen that I like, kind of a thing? We can chat. If I'm sitting in Lep's stream room or something like that, just ask if you're in there. Just ask me and I'll wax poetic about kitchen stuff for 30 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Baby, are you ready to go? Cool. The triangle method. Yeah, we could talk about that. We could talk about all that. Mine will be much less scientific than methods, but I'm sure I can help. Okay, I guess you count down. Okay, yeah, hold on. Yeah. He's like, I'm ready. Yeah, hold on. I get it. All right, we're gonna start our recording. The recording is essentially like there's a live playlist and then an actual video playlist, and those are the ones that are kind of not all of this fun exposition while everybody's kind of getting adjusted and ready. I'm gonna do a video and then we'll cut it at the end and then hang out just a little bit longer. You'll probably get to see Lep come in and want to partake in some of the cocktails that I'm making, so yeah. Thanks, Elos. Okay, what? Okay. Hello, and welcome to the A Little Spoon stream. Today we are going to be making some classic holiday cocktails that I really like to have when I have all of my friends and my family around during the season. We are going to be doing a cranberry-ginger French 75, a barrel-aged bee's knees, and we're going to be doing a grapefruit champagne Negroni sour. So lots of holiday and seasonal ingredients. And a lot of fun, just in all honesty, a lot of fun. The way that I'm going to do this today is I'm going to be making the syrups that are needed for these three recipes. Each one of them has a syrup that is kind of the way that you're going to sweeten the cocktails. So we're gonna make them and then kind of do each syrup and then go back to the first syrup, make the cocktail, go back to the second syrup, make the cocktail, go back to the third syrup, and then make a cocktail. So that way they've got some time to kind of cool in the refrigerator after we have made them on the stovetop. We don't want to dilute our cocktails too much. And for the people who are cooking with me today, I want to make sure that they have ample time for their syrups to cool. And we can kind of just roll through everything and make sure that they're getting the best cocktails that they can. If you are joining me at a later date and you're seeing this as a playlist and not a live, this was a live stream at some point. I am going to be talking to my chat over here in the corner. You'll see me leaning over and kind of looking at a screen and answering questions. I do my best to give as much information as possible while I am cooking, but I also do like to answer questions for anybody who is making these with me, because this is inherently and first and foremost a cook-along stream where I invite people to come on the first Sunday of every month to make a recipe with me. And we kind of just come here, hang out, make some food, and then it turns into a video later. So I will be answering questions over here. If you are here and this is no longer live and you do have a question, obviously you can go ahead and add that into the comments of the video that you are watching, and I will be checking for notifications. And if I get something with a question, I'll do my best to get in there as soon as possible and answer your questions for when you are making this on your own. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, one last thing. All three of these recipes use gin. It was not planned. I just kind of looked through what are my most festive cocktails. And I didn't want it to be a single cocktail stream because that would go by in like 30 minutes or less. And I figured let's try to group some stuff together. And the rosemary and honey, the champagne, and grapefruit, which is citrus, is in season during the winter, and the cranberry and ginger French 75, again with some champagne, very festive. And all three of them just happen to have gin. So here we are with 3 gin cocktails. I hope that you like gin. If you're finding this and you specifically were like looking for gin cocktails and you found it, you came to the right place. And I hope that this is helpful for you for your holiday season. So let's go ahead and we're gonna do our cranberry ginger French 75 syrup first. If you do not want, this makes quite a bit of syrup. I'm not gonna lie, I will make this as a syrup and then sometimes just put it on my table as cranberry sauce. I'll pour it over ice cream. Use it with like scones. If you do like scones with like clotted cream, This is a really good kind of jam if you cook it a little bit longer and get it not so like not loose as a syrup. If you get it down into kind of a jam, it makes a really beautiful jam. So it does make quite a bit. So if you're only planning to have like a handful of cocktails at home with just like you and your significant other or like a friend or by yourself, then it may be quite a bit of syrup. So you can half the recipe or you can use it for other things. It's really, really versatile. So that's a great thing to have, right? We're going to need a bunch of orange juice because that is going to take the place of water. If you do not have oranges, you can use water and just make a basic simple syrup with sugar and water. I like to use the fresh squeezed orange juice as my my liquid. So it's the 1-to-1 sugar to liquid. I like to use fresh squeezed orange juice. I wouldn't recommend using bottled OJ. I almost would recommend using like an apple juice or an apple cider or just water over using a bottled orange juice because bottled orange juice is really acidic and the fresh squeezed orange juice is much sweeter. So it kind of throws off the balance of the cocktail, and I feel like an apple juice or a water would be a much better situation for this cocktail than going into a bottled orange juice if you don't have fresh oranges at home. So yeah, do I have any questions? I know I've got at least 3 or 4 people in here cooking with me today, so I'm just trying to make sure that we stay on top. I know you guys get a ton of time to like go forward with the recipe because I just sit and like chat for most of this, but we'll be good. I'll try to not be so long with doing this. We are going to need a cup of fresh squeezed orange juice, which is about 250 milliliters. It's gonna fit in this guy. And then we also need a cup, which is about 200 grams of granulated sugar. And what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna do the sugar first because I wanna make sure that if I put liquid in this, then the sugar is gonna stick to it. So we're gonna just move over here. We're gonna do this. I'll move this here and we'll just pour our sugar in. So there's kind of a bit of I can't say controversy, it's just kind of like a you do you, but nobody can really decide what's the best way to do this. If you do your syrups by volume or by weight, you can do it by either, unless you're in like a commercial kitchen where you're making things en masse and in bulk and you're doing like 100 cocktails at a time or something like that and then wanting to have them, or you're making cocktails over and over and you need them to stay consistent. Going by volume is fine. I do recommend going by weight if you care to or you want to have like consistency. Like that's honestly the best way to stick with that, but I'm kind of in a place where I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Okay. I apparently do not have, let me check my dishwasher. I need a paring knife. There we are. That is a cheese knife. Let's see. There we go. I had a photo shoot in here the other day, so I've got a lot of my utensils are still in the dishwasher. I haven't cleaned it out yet. Uh-oh, static? Okay. That's unfortunate. Is it my hair maybe? Oh no. New jam goals unlocked. It's a good jam. Cranberry ginger is a very good flavor. It just happens sometimes. Yeah, he was having issues with his sound. And it just kind of gets a little staticky and then goes away. That's okay. I'm gonna keep going. It's not. Was it bad? Ooh. Do I have to repeat anything? Chat? Okay. All right. Honestly, I would prefer to use big oranges, but these were the oranges I had on hand because we eat like the cuties and things like that when they're in season because they're much easier to peel when they're ripe. So I have a bunch of these in the house and I was like, we're just gonna use these. Okay. You do not need to strain anything yet. We will be straining this syrup when it is done boiling. So there's no point to straining pulp out now if we're gonna go ahead and do it later. Hey, Violet. Thanks for joining. Is this going to be a common thing? I think you rated the stream last time. Thanks very much and welcome, Raiders. Today, thank you. Today is my birthday. I thought I should do a kind of celebratory stream, and I figured the holidays are coming. Why not do some holiday cocktails, some seasonal cocktails that we can all have some fun with? So that is what I'm up to today. Okay, I think we fixed the audio, so it shouldn't happen again, maybe. But if anybody hears any static, oh man, static again. Dang it. Yep, cocktails. So cocktails the syrups need to sit for a bit. Can they sit overnight, or is there a shelf life? These syrups have so much sugar in them. Sugar it inhibits bacterial growth. So these can actually sit in the refrigerator for up to like 3 weeks. I say up to 3 weeks. I am notorious for just like leaving things in the refrigerator and still like eating them and drinking them and whatever. Far past when they're supposed to be technically in the refrigerator. For liability purposes, 3 weeks. But if you're not seeing anything funky, if the flavor hasn't gone off, if you're like sometimes it'll like if it doesn't have vinegar in it or anything like that, it'll like get like little wispies in there. It's not good if you see that. But like if it looks the same, it smells the same, it tastes the same, chances are it's fine. But that is not take that with a grain of salt. Yeah. I'm terrible about I just don't like to waste anything. So I'm like, it's fine. Unless I'm like actually seeing bad stuff or smelling bad stuff or whatever, I'm like, we can still eat this. What cocktails are we cooking? We are doing a cranberry-ginger French 75. We are doing a bourbon barrel-aged bee's knees. And we are doing a champagne, I'm calling it a Negroni. It's, grapefruit champagne Negroni sour. We got it. I'm saying Negroni because we have Campari in it. So it's gin Campari, and then champagne. It's got a little bit of vermouth, but it's not like, it's not UK vermouth, it's American vermouth. It's not American vermouth, but it's considered American vermouth. I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to it. But you're basically making a Negroni, adding some grapefruit juice and then you're adding a champagne syrup, and it's delicious. It does have an egg white in it. You don't need to do that if you don't want to, but I like to get a nice little foam on top. Okay, I think we're about a little more than halfway. Let me fill this up. These knees, yeah. Actually, you had something very similar to what I'm making, Violet. So we're using a bourbon barrel-aged gin. So essentially, and you don't have to, if you want to use just a citrus-forward gin, you'd be in really good hands with the bee's knees, because a bee's knees is gin, usually like a honey kind of syrup, and then lemon. And I just think having a bourbon barrel-aged gin, where gin is rested in bourbon barrels for some time until it takes on a little bit of the characteristics of bourbon, just really plays nicely with honey and lemon. And that's kind of where this came from. You want to just make yourself a screwdriver with this? Hey, we've got champagne. We could do mimosas too. I think I have enough oranges. I might Might just not have quite enough. We'll see. I've got more upstairs if we need some more oranges. Lindsay, you said you guys were making this one, right? The cranberry ginger. I'm glad. I'm glad my YouTube friend over here is doing the same thing as me with syrups. Does it smell okay? Yes, my husband will be an official taste tester for this. I say taste tester, really it's just gonna be drink enjoyer because these are already tested and on my website. These were taste tested years ago at this point. Oh no. Static again? Okay. I'm gonna rinse out the top of this because we're getting too much pulp. And then we'll get back to work. Okay, I'm gonna mute for just a second. We're trying to figure out this audio static thing, so bear with me, friends, okay? Test 1, 2. Am I good? For now, maybe? Zach, is it your birthday too? Happy birthday. I am back. I'm back. We're hoping we fixed it. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Zesting ginger is not one of my favorite things. It can take a bit. It can definitely take a bit. Do you have a microplane, or are you using like the fine zester on a 4-sided grater, cheese grater? Okay. We made it. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our liquid. That would have gone way faster if I had bigger oranges, but these are nice and sweet. They're exactly what I want. I'm gonna move this over here, and we're gonna put this on low-ish. Oop, did I just do the wrong one? I did. Whoops, there we go. Just gonna give it a little bit of a very small whisk just to kind of get things a little incorporated and get the liquid underneath the sugar. And then we are going to give these guys a bit of a rinse. Okay, so I have a 340 gram, 12 ounce bag of cranberries. Oh. We're gonna rinse these, and then I'm gonna get my ginger zested. You don't need a ton, and I do want to talk a little bit about ginger and buying ginger. And I know we did have this discussion when we were making some chicken tikka masala, but I'm gonna mention again because I think it's important to have good manners in your grocery store, or if you're at like a local market, even more so. So we'll talk about ginger in just a second. But I'm gonna just give these a rinse and a quick peek through to make sure I don't have any ones that are like super shriveled or like bad. And sometimes bags can come kind of like beans, like they can come with like stones and other things in them. And so you kind of just have to give it a little bit of a peek through. Looks like these are all pretty fresh. It's the beginning of the season, so I'm not expecting things to have sat for very long. Sat. We're fine. English. To have sat, yay, past participles, for very long. And so we're gonna, there we go. Give those a bit of a rinse. Whatever the green one is on the OXO. Okay, so you're using the fine graters. I highly, highly recommend, if you are doing a lot of zesting, garlic, nutmeg, chocolate, Parmesan, lemons, and ginger, to get a microplane. I do have an Amazon storefront. It's not linked on this YouTube video or anywhere else. But I can send you the link in my Discord, since you are part of my Patreon friends. So I can send you a link to that so you can get to it. And it'll link. I have it in like one of my kitchen utensils. I think I have it in cocktails and in kitchen. My kitchen essentials is a microplane, or just go find one. Just go find one in a store. Go find one online. Up to you on wherever you feel like buying that, because like I get it. But I highly, highly recommend having one of these and not using the fine side of a grater. I literally do not use a grater for anything but cheese. I don't think I've ever used it for anything else. Cucumber. I will use it for cucumber if I'm making tzatziki, but I'm using only one side. Like I never use any of the other sides. But highly, highly recommend this. Okay. So let's zest some ginger here. We're gonna need about a tablespoon or 15 grams. I'm going to zest this whole thing. I really, really like to have a like zesty jam, but if you're like, look, ginger's kind of spicy to me, it's not my thing. You can go without if you want it to just be a cranberry syrup, that's cool. If you want it to be less spiced, then just slice it into thin slices until you hit your proper weight. It's kind of hard to measure volume when you've got like slices over the zest. So I do highly recommend, if you are slicing, to do this kind of by weight and not by volume. Just doesn't quite fit into like a tablespoon, right? If it's not if it's not very small pieces, the way that zest is. So please do weigh it, or just throw in some random slices and hope you get it right. That's also fine. If you don't care, you can just do that. I set my cloth down over here the other day when I was doing dishes. There we go. Get a fresh guy. Okay, so something, if you got your ginger here, I'm using a spoon. I'm using the side of a spoon to just pull the skin off. You can try doing this with a knife, but I find that you end up pulling a lot more flesh off and then you lose product. So I just use a spoon and you just kind of drag it along. I know people do not like the knotted, like the little knotted kind of spaces here, the knots in ginger. And so when you go to the store, you're looking for like just one big center piece that looks kind of like just like this, right? Where it's just like one good chunk to use, because then it takes less time. You're not having those pieces maybe dry out too soon, or they're dry, they're kind of there in the store and the middle parts are fresher. Like I fully understand what the thought process is on when you're choosing ginger from the store. But I will also say, like, if you choose a piece, just choose it and take it home. Don't break down the ginger in the store. Don't pull like knobs and pieces off of something. You either take as big of a piece as you picked up, or you look for a smaller piece that is already in there. Every time you break ginger, it starts to dry out there. And it dries out faster than if you had a whole piece of ginger. And so the poor people who are running said store, especially if it's run by like a local family or something like that, their ginger, and this happens with like turmeric and other things too, it dries out faster, and then you have less to sell and it becomes a waste. And that's not good manners in the store. So like, buy yourself your ginger at the exact size that you need, the amount that you need. If you don't like to have knobs on it and all of the pieces have knobs on it, oh well, you're gonna buy some ginger with some knobs on it, and that's okay. You can root around in the bucket or basket or whatever it is until you find a piece that is to your liking. But don't break pieces of ginger off in the store. It's not good for the people who are trying to sell it. Okay, that's probably more than enough. So let's get going. I said I wanted, 15 grams of this? So I'm gonna go to town over here. And actually this is probably gonna take longer, so I'm gonna have to keep moving it back and forth. Okay, we've zeroed out my scale. I have a kitchen scale over here by me. Is anybody who's cooking with me, are we in a good place? We feel good about what we're doing? I can hear that starting to get hot. I've got that on low back there behind me, so I'm not super worried about it. I might check it in just a second. You're doing great? Good. Good, good, good. I've found that because ginger is so fibrous, that if you grate in the same direction for too long, those fibers start kind of getting in the way of grating. So constantly change up the angle of your ginger and get like opposing directions on your grater, and that will also help to grate faster. We're almost there. Okay, got like 10 more seconds of ginger. We should be, we went from not enough to too much. A little bit of that out. And this is why we weigh things. Okay, cool. So I've got almost all of my sugar dissolved. I'm thinking about bringing my induction cooktop over here so that we can just keep the camera in one place and I can just move stuff around. Would that be easier for you, honey? We've got the overhead cam. He has to keep moving it back and forth. What? Doesn't matter? Okay. Over the orange juice. I'm gonna make it warmer. It's just weird because it's like my back's to camera too. Hello, everybody. I'm probably a little blurry back here, but that's okay. I swear I'll move up closer in a second. So essentially what I'm going to do, we're going to bring the heat up. We're going to get this going. And once all the sugar's dissolved, you're going to pop in your ginger slices or zest, however you did it. Even if you want to do half and half, that's fine. And we're going to pop our cranberries in. We're going to let them get boiling. Okay, and we're going to let that boil for a little bit. You'll know that you've got all your sugar dissolved when you turn your pan to the side and you no longer see little granules of sugar on the bottom. Or if it's boiling, it's probably dissolved by then, but just FYI. As soon as you're not seeing any granules, you're in a good place. Okay, so we're gonna get our cranberries all in. We're gonna get our zest in. Okay. And I'm feeling a little extra today, so I'm gonna be putting a little bit of salt in all the syrups, just for some fun. Just a little flavor boost. No actual weight, just a pinch of salt. Okay. We're gonna start hearing, at least I'm gonna start hearing, you probably won't hear it because it's not gonna be on the mic, or it's too far away from the mic, but I'm gonna start hearing popping. When these cranberries heat up, they expand and then they kind of pop outward as their skin breaks. So you're gonna be hearing some popping. Don't worry, they're not gonna like pop out of the pan or anything like that. They're just gonna kind of pop and then dissolve and kind of melt into the syrup and the juice and stuff that's in here. That smells really good already because ginger smells delicious. So next, moving kind of on. So I've got this guy going. The only thing left for that is the zest of a lemon. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to actually zest that lemon now and then just set it aside. That lemon goes in after you're done with the boiling of the cranberry. Because you lose the flavor of the lemon. Let me do this. This is actually a really large lemon. I'm probably only gonna do maybe a half or 3/4 of this because this is like a Ponderosa lemon. This is huge. But the flavor will disappear. Those essential oils that you're getting off the skin of the lemon, they'll bleed into the flavor of the cranberry syrup too much if you don't add it at the end. So if you want to get some of those little like bursts of like, oh, I think there's like, other than orange, like there's something kind of citrusy in this, and you want to taste that, you're going to want to add the zest after you've done all your boiling so that it doesn't disappear. And that's why we're adding it then. But you still have to strain it, otherwise you're gonna have pieces of lemon zest in your syrup, and we also don't want that. So it does go in, it does get to kind of steep, right, in that syrup for just a little bit, just enough to give it some interest and some extra nuance. And then that's about it. Okay. How do I feel about that? I feel like that's a good amount of zest. That's plenty. Okay, so I'm gonna set that off to the side. Okay. We'll probably be using this more as we go. I'm gonna set that off to the side as well. We're gonna wipe off of our board and then we're gonna start on a new syrup. Okay, so the next syrup is gonna be super, super easy. I'm gonna do, let's do the champagne one. So we're going to make a champagne syrup. I have the cheapest champagne I could find. It doesn't need to be expensive champagne. Expensive champagne is for drinking. And the cheap ones are for making syrups and cooking with them, or drinking, honestly. But I've got a champagne syrup or champagne here. I do prefer using something funky for this syrup. So if you don't want to use a champagne or you don't want to pay for the name champagne, right? You can use a sparkling wine, but you're going to want to find a sparkling wine that's made in like the traditional method, because that's going to taste yeastier and taste more like champagne. So that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for something that maybe like you might see on like tasting notes that it says like yeasty, bready, buttery, like any of that kind of a something, almost like you're kind of trying to find a Chardonnay. Because most champagnes are made from Chardonnay grapes and Pinot grapes. Anyway, first pop. Let's see if we can, you'll hear more of them. I'm going to try to get it on the mic for you guys. If you're making this at home right now, I'm sure you're hearing this. There's one. Can you hear that, guys? I'll get another one. It'll be popping a lot more in a second. Like, this is the worst time for me to have done this. Nah, we'll come back to it. One exploded right when you said popping. Really? I do not have any recipes for a spiked warm cider. No, like a mulled cider, I don't. Ooh, there we go. They're starting to really go now. Let me do this. I'm sure we're still over this. I don't know where the camera is unless he put it over there. It is over here. Unless I look up at it. I'm not sure how much you guys can see, but you can see maybe. Let's pull some of these out. Maybe I need a spoon. Yeah, we're gonna get a spoon. Let's do this. I want you guys to be able to see what I've got going on here. So you can see it split in half. They kind of pop in half. And then what happens is once they pop like that, then all of the heat and the sugar starts to break them down, and they start to get really like mushy. So like this one's been sitting on the top. He's not close yet. But let's see if we can find. You see, we've got some that have split. The skin kind of rips apart and pops open, and then like everything on the inside just starts to kind of break down. And that's what we're going for. Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna lower the heat just a touch because I want this to boil, but I really don't, it's not necessary for it to be like a rolling boil, right? So the more moisture and steam that comes off of this as it's boiling, the more like thick that the syrup is going to be. And so I'm looking for a boiling that is like not necessarily a rolling boil. It can be, it'll cook faster, but then you also lose more liquid. So we're kind of just like walking a little tightrope here. It's not anything that really matters. It's just my preferred way to do it, is to make sure that I'm seeing bubbles, but I'm not necessarily like boiling this syrup. Okay. I've got some bubbles, and that's good enough for me. Okay. So for a champagne syrup, I'm looking for a half a cup of my champagne or sparkling wine in a traditional sense. I think I also have in the notes on this recipe that you can use like a pet nat or like a natural sparkling wine. Those tend to have like some really funky, fun flavors that may play very well with this cocktail. I do think that it's important. This is for the grapefruit champagne Negroni cocktail. So if you are going to be not using a champagne or a sparkling wine with the champagne style, and you're going for something a little bit more funky, you're going like the way of the pet nat, then I do highly recommend just considering, will this taste good in a Negroni? Would this pair well with grapefruit juice. If you feel like that will happen and you feel like they will mesh, it will probably go well with this cocktail. But if you're drinking natural wine and it's like funky, but would like probably clash with those flavors, I would not attempt to make that into a syrup and use that in this cocktail. So Prosecco, okay, so things like Cava, Prosecco, sparkling wines that are like really clean and they're made in like a New World style are not gonna have enough flavor to come through with the grapefruit and the Campari. So what we're attempting to do is get something, like I said, that's like funky and yeasty and bready so that it kind of cuts through and it balances well. If you have a really clean tasting sparkling wine that you are using, that flavor will disappear and you'll have made a syrup for almost no reason, and I really don't want that for you guys. So that's why I'm saying like find something that is in the traditional style or is funky or is kind of weird. So yeah, so that's why the point of that. If you bought Prosecco and you really want to drink it, just drink it. Also, okay, this is a scary thing for me. I'm doing this live. I'm terrified of opening like the bread, like the crescent rolls and stuff that you have to like peel back the cardboard and it like pops. I feel the same way about those as I do with champagne bottles. So this is not my favorite thing to do. This is the only way I can open it is with a towel. I can't do it with like bare hands, and I can't just like, it's not like I need to, scary. It's a jump scare every time. And I can feel like the cork coming up with my hand, and I'm still like, oh, that's probably pretty funny. Okay, so I need a half a cup of this. I need 120 mils of this. And then I'm gonna need a quarter cup, about 60 so grams of sugar. And for all of these, I'm gonna say this out loud. For every single one of these syrups, I'm using a refined granulated sugar. So I'm using white sugar, okay? If you use an unrefined sugar, so like a sugar in the raw or like a turbinado or a demerara, or even a brown sugar, it's going to change the flavor of these cocktails and the balance will be different. So I'm using refined sugar specifically because it is the cleanest flavor so that all of the other flavors, right? I'm just using its sweetness. I'm not using it for flavor. I want to have clean bases in my simple syrup so that all of the other flavors I'm adding to it really shine. If I use something that has molasses in it, or has not been fully refined and still has some of those like other sugars, then it is going to be a warmer, deeper flavor that now you're trying to contend with some of your other crisp, lemony, like that kind of stuff. Like you're kind of pulling that brightness down a little bit. If that is where you want to have that, you absolutely can, but it will taste slightly different. So just for consistency's sake, like I'm using the white, like refined sugar for all of these. You open the bottles outside. I kid you not. So this is almost done. We do New Year's streams every year. We do a New Year's stream. We put the kids down. We get all dolled up, and I have a couple of bottles of sparkling wine, and we play video games and hang out. And one year, my husband had a bottle of sparkling wine, and he was like talking with it in his hand. And he hadn't opened it yet. He took the cage off, but he hadn't opened it yet. This is the cage. And he's sitting there and he's like doing this and he's talking. And a split second after he moved the bottle from here to like here, the cork popped out of the bottle, just completely unprovoked, popped out of the bottle, hit the roof, and like came back down. And we were like, what the heck just happened? But when we went to playback, because it like happened so quickly, like he almost shot himself in the face with that cork. Like it was like mere like millimeters off from his face. Terrifying. I'm terrified of those. Okay, so let's go back. Get me going again. Okay, so I'm doing most of this by volume, honestly. There's not enough need to be precise with the cocktails. So I don't care as much as I probably could. So I've got some more these little guys back here. Let's do this one for my champagne syrup. Okay. I think this makes like 8 cocktails, enough for 8 cocktails, this one. And then I think the cranberry makes enough for like 14 plus cocktails. It makes quite a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna try pouring this a little bit at an angle until I get to the edge, and then I'm gonna kind of straighten up the same way you would pour like a beer or a soda, so that we don't have too much. Want to make sure. There we go. Oh, I just did it wrong. Hey guys, I didn't read my own instructions. Cool, love that for me. We're supposed to reduce the syrup first. It's fine, or reduce the champagne first. That was a small waste and I kind of feel like drinking it now. Sorry. Oh my God, I hate that I just did that. Okay, I'm gonna read my own instructions and we are actually going to follow them. So you're supposed to put your half a cup, your 120 mils, love this for me, of sparkling wine, funky sparkling wine or champagne. Let's try this one more time, into a pot on your stovetop. You're gonna reduce by half until it gets kind of syrupy. And then you're gonna add your sugar. I was wondering why the ratios were a 2 to 1, because usually a simple syrup is a 1 to 1. And I was like, why do I have a half cup and a quarter cup? I haven't made this in a long time, friends. Okay, but I'm gonna enjoy it. So I guess there's that. And the cranberry syrup is done now. I'm just doing this, so, but if you wanted to take it off the heat, you're done. You're good to go. Okay, let's do this guy. We're gonna make that get to boiling, but also again, we're reducing. So I don't wanna do like a huge crazy boil. So you're not looking for a rolling boil on the champagne syrup. You're looking for something that's just kind of like a couple little bubbles here and there, going, doing its thing. And we're reducing, gently reducing that down. I'm a good storyteller. Oh, that was nice. Thanks. Nice. Okay, so we have somebody who is currently making this with me, and they've said this cranberry syrup is killer. Absolutely going to use the leftover cranberries for cranberry sauce this year. Yes, I'm a big fan of this syrup. I'm glad that you like it. This is definitely done. So now what we're gonna do with the cranberry syrup, so we've got our champagne reducing back here. I've got my cranberry syrup is definitely finished here. Now you'll notice, here, we'll come back to this. You'll notice that there are still some that are kind of intact. These are softened. So if I press on that, that's going to soften quite a bit. I'm taking this and I'm throwing this into a different bowl, and I'm going to strain the sauce through a strainer, and that is going to give me what I need. Did I bring down? I don't think I brought down a deep enough bowl for this. Do I have something that I can use? Huh? Well, I've got bowls down here, so I think I'm just gonna try to come up with something. Let's see. This works. I'll use one of my, I've got all of my really nice, like for when we have people over, I've got all my like nice bowls and stuff. So basically what I'm doing is I just want it to be deep enough that when I pour the syrup in, the bottom of the strainer isn't like really in there and it can actually kind of hang. And I'm just going to pour some of this in, and then I'm going to use a spoon to strain. And I do want to go back to make sure. Now I feel like I'm like, hey, you got to read the instructions. Don't just go, this is what I meant. Don't go by intuition. Read your instructions. There is no oven. There's no oven down here. I didn't realize that either until I went to cook in here for real and was like, oh, hey, all I have is a microwave and a cooktop. There's no oven. It's great. The garbage can is here. There's no garbage can like built in down here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now just kind of plop all this in. Okay. I'm kind of just going to gently, I put a little bit more than I think I was ready to put in here, but that's okay. I'm just going to give it like a little bit of a scrape down, and then I'm going to get my spoon. I prefer to use a spoon than a spatula. I think spoons, just because they're already kind of shaped and they're rounded in the same way, and then the metal, I just think it does a better job of pushing liquid through than a spatula does. So I always use a spoon when I'm straining. You can absolutely, if you don't, apologies to anybody who's already finished the syrup and maybe like tossed these pieces. Oh, I'm really all over the place today, aren't I? Whoop. We're just gonna let that really get powerful in this batch. Okay. That's the lemon zest that I was supposed to toss in and let sit for a little bit. So essentially, I've got these cranberries, right? I just popped one. So like I said, they were softened. Let me see if I can find another one that's still intact that I can pop. I think I just already, they'll break down once you're starting to push them, like kind of push them around and scrape down. You can scrape this until it is literally like dry and there's no more pulp or there's no more liquid left, or at least very, very little. If you want, I have in the recipe that you can throw it out, like in the actual instructions to like toss these, because now you're not using this, you have your syrup, you've made your syrup, you're basically done, right? The other thing that you can do, fruit leather, if you wanted to make like fruit roll-ups, homemade fruit roll-ups or something like that, you can absolutely like blitz this in a food processor and get them into like kind of a paste, and then put it on, like spread it out on a tray and dehydrate it. Make yourself some fruit roll-ups. Might as well. So it's really up to you guys if you want to toss it or if you want to try to use like everything that you can and not let anything go to waste, like I just did down my drain. Oh, I found one. Okay, so here's one guy. Oh, okay. The camera's not in the right place. I had a feeling this was gonna happen. Yes, please. Because I'm over here doing stuff. You don't have to watch that. It's just sitting there. Oh no, did I lose it? I lost my whole one. Oh, found him. Okay, so you can see, oh, he's basically, we've got like a whole guy here. If I were to just up against the side and look, it's mush. And that's basically what they're doing, is it's like, so this started as mostly like, it looked like it was kind of whole cranberries, but once you start actively kind of scraping and pushing the liquid through, pushing that syrup kind of through, they all start breaking down. Okay, so I'm actually going to transfer this into a bowl because I want to keep this stuff. I probably will put it in a food processor. Something else that you can do with this is after, like I might actually like put this into some molds, like chocolate molds or something like that. I've got several for like baby food and like stuff like that. I've got like 2-ounce ones, and I've got ones that are like teaspoon sizes, so like 5 milliliter sizes. And then I've got 30 milliliter sizes and 60 milliliter sizes. So I've got like all different kinds of size of like silicone molds, and I'll freeze things. I'll probably, and I know I mentioned doing like a fruit leather kind of situation, really. But what I might do with this is I might just freeze these and then use it for smoothies. So I'll like toss it into a smoothie and get some cranberry flavor in there for funsies. Why not? Right? Okay. That's good. Okay, next little batch here. I'm gonna scrape out the rest of this and then strain it. And then we've got our syrup for our French 75s. Super easy. Just gonna let that fill with some water and soak a little bit. The baby food is for what Lowen left is being fussy. No, I have 2 kids. We all know, well, most of you know this. I have 2 kids and I made them baby food when they were babies. And now I still use those containers, the silicone molds, because it's really nice to just have like a chunk of chicken stock. Like if I need to make a sauce or something like that, or I need to deglaze a pan and I don't want to deglaze with water, I want to deglaze with flavor, I'll like take a 2 ounce or 60 mil like puck of chicken stock and just toss it in. Okay, so you can see this looks different. So this is what just came out of the pot there. This looks different than what I was scraping. So you can see like as you scrape, those cranberries that still look intact actually aren't intact. They're like really, really soft. So like if you press it, it'll kind of turn into mush. So that's what we're doing, is we're just kind of taking the side of our spoon and we're kind of running it. You can hear me scraping and kind of pushing. Every time you scrape and push, you're pushing the syrup through into the bowl below. Okay. I don't want to spend a million years. Usually I would like sit here until this was like, had very, very little liquid still in it and it was almost not shiny anymore. But since we're streaming, I'll go a little sooner than I normally would. Okay. So I've got all my pulp over here in a bowl because I want to keep it. Okay, I'm going to rinse my spoon off so that I get the pulp off of it, and then I'm actually going to scrape all the really good stuff that's stuck to the outside and make sure that I'm getting all of my syrup. Okay. And then I'm going to go in my pot to also soak. And that is very nice. Okay, so I mentioned this. This is obviously a lot of syrup, as you can see. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of this in a small container, just enough for a cocktail. So I'm actually going to measure out what I need for a single cocktail. That way it'll chill faster. So if you're planning on making a bunch of these today, or you just want one to taste out and you want it to happen faster, obviously the more surface area, so the more cold air touching more of the sauce, the better. If you have a shallow like bowl, that will spread out the syrup and it will cool faster than kind of a deep seated bowl like this one. I need, let's see, let's find out. We need 30 mils, 1 ounce of our cranberry syrup. So I'm actually going to use this guy. I've got these, they're Anchor Hawking, but I'm sure there are other brands out there. that have tablespoons, ounces, cups, milliliters, the whole shebang. So I'm actually going to do this. And I'm going to get an ounce of this in here, and I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put both of these in the fridge, but this will be ready by the time we go to make our cocktail. Yeah. Okay. We're going to put this in the fridge to chill. I'm actually going to, yum. It now smells like champagne in here because of the champagne on the stove top, so that's nice. Let's see where we're at. Not quite. Okay. Something I always forget about this guy is that he does not turn off like my induction cooktop does. Okay. We're maybe halfway on the champagne syrup, so I'm going to let that keep going, and I'm going to start working on the rosemary triple simple syrup. So let's have a quick just context conversation about bee's knees. So the bee's knees cocktail is a classic cocktail that has a honey syrup, gin, and lemon juice, right? Well, there was a bartender, I think in like the early 90s, that was kind of making batch cocktails. Bee's knees wanted something really consistent that they could make like a syrup, kind of make their thing, go about their day, and have a quality cocktail. And he found that honey can just be really overpowering, especially if you're not using something like I am, the bourbon barrel-aged gin, right? Like if you're using a really clean citrus forward gin, then honey can like really overpower that. And so he was trying to figure out what he could do to make it a more balanced syrup. And so what he ended up doing is he actually went he was like, okay, well, here's my simple syrup, my 1-to-1 water to sugar, right? Then we've got our rich simple syrup, which is 2-to-1 sugar to water 1. And so it's like a thicker, richer, right? Go with me, richer syrup. And he ended up creating something he calls a triple simple syrup. I feel like I have the name somewhere. I'm gonna find it for you guys because I totally have it on my, I have it in my notes somewhere. So I wanna find that for you today. Let's do that real quick. And so I know I just wrote about it. I wanna make sure I give you names because I think that's really important. Late 1990s by bartender Dale DeGroff. And so he was like, look, this is a really good cocktail, but like it's too much honey. And so he came up with the idea for a triple simple syrup. And what that is it's 4 parts simple syrup, 2 parts agave, and 1 part honey. I believe that is the ratio. And so what he was trying to do is he was trying to say, I still want to have that kind of warm honeyed flavor, but I don't want it to be overpowering. And you will find I make triple simple syrups for almost all of my cocktails at this point. It's either a basic simple syrup for sweetening, or it's a triple simple syrup for like everything else. It works in coffee. It's just all around a fantastic syrup to have if you don't want something to be just a clean, like sweet, right? Clean sugar water flavor. And it gives you just a hint of honey, but it's still kind of warm, very flavorful. It's a rich syrup, which is really important when it comes to sweetening cocktails and having like a good mouthfeel in your cocktails. And I am a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of this. I make it all the time. And I now no longer make bee's knees with honey syrup. You can do that. You can do a honey syrup. It's 3 parts. I think you just basically add water to honey until it's like the consistency that you want it to be. I want to say that it's 3 parts honey to 1 part water. If you're going to just like make a quick honey syrup. And that'll get you by in a pinch for a bee's knees. But the triple simple syrup is like far and away a better syrup to use than like making a honey syrup. Here, I have here a simpler variation. 3 parts honey. Oh, it's 3 parts honey to 1 part water. Apologies, I said it backwards. I wanted to make sure I checked that. So in the recipe for the barrel-aged bee's knees on my website, in the FAQs, I have like, is there a simpler variation? And essentially it's like, hey, you don't want to make this crazy syrup. Here's a, you can basically make a honey syrup. The flavor will be different. I don't particularly think it's as balanced, but in a pinch, it'll get you by, it'll get you a good cocktail. There is something else that I do want to call attention to. So in the recipe on the website for this simple syrup, specifically for the cocktail, because I do have a separate rosemary triple simple syrup recipe, or rosemary simple syrup recipe, something like that. I have in there, like I have honey of choice. And in the recipe for this, which I made very, very long time ago, I had a rosemary honey. You don't really need a rosemary honey. Honestly, any honey of choice, you're adding rosemary to it. Essentially what I did is I used a rosemary honey and then I added less fresh rosemary to the syrup when I was making it because it wasn't necessary since I was already using a rosemary honey. So if you are using just a straight honey, right? So just like regular honey, not specifically flavored in any kind of way, you're going to use 2 to 4 sprigs of your rosemary. If you are using a rosemary honey, you are going to use 1 to 2 sprigs of rosemary. These are ginormous. Oh my God. Look at this thing. This is the top of a Christmas tree. What is this? Oh my God, I need some scissors. That's really funny. That's really funny. Oh my God, it's it's thick. Okay. I think I might just use, this feels like a lot. I'm gonna use these. This feels like 3 sprigs, honestly. This is like super thick. That was crazy. It's just the top of a Christmas tree. That's what they gave to me. It smells a little like, rosemary smells a little like Christmas tree to me. Now I don't really plan, you could strain this. I don't plan to strain this. I think rosemary holds up, like when it's fresh, it holds up pretty well. They don't really, all the pieces kind of don't come off of them off of the stems very much. But if you did put say I just cut it and I've got all these little extra pieces, if this went to the syrup, obviously you're going to want to strain the syrup, your simple syrup when you make it. The rosemary simple syrup that you make, you're going to want to strain because you'll have pieces, and we don't want pieces of herbs and stuff in our syrup. We want to have no pulp when we are drinking cocktails. So I'm going to check on this one more time because I think we're about there. That is very, very close. I'm going to bring the temperature up on this just a touch. Literally just a touch. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to make a simple syrup. We're going to do the rosemary triple simple syrup. We're going to start with the base rosemary simple syrup. Okay. And I've got to have a 1/4 cup of my sugar, a 1/4 cup of water, and then we're going to heat up that until they dissolve, and we're going to toss the rosemary in to sit and steep for a little bit. Okay? So, got our sugar. I'm going to just do some tap water because that's how we roll here. These, there we go. Okay, I'm going to get this kind of just mixed around a little bit. Like I said, I want to have water kind of touching all of the pieces of sugar, all the granules of sugar. And then I'm going to turn this guy on. There we go. And then once the sugar has dissolved on that, I'm not looking for that to boil. I'm just looking for the sugar to dissolve. I guess one more piece of information about simple syrups. You do not need heat to make a simple syrup. Sugar will dissolve in water over time. It just takes longer. Heat makes it happen faster. So if you are looking to have super, super precise measurements, and you want to have a really clean flavor, nothing tastes cooked, nothing tastes anything, just set them together and like give them a mix every now and then, and that sugar will eventually dissolve in the water and you made yourself a simple syrup and you don't even need heat. So just keep that also in mind. It's like I'm basically doing this just to make the process faster, but it is absolutely not necessary. For this recipe, I like to have the heat because it brings the oils, the essential oils out of the rosemary and it better flavors it. But if you were going for like, I just need a basic sugar water simple syrup and I don't have a stovetop, what do I do? Like just put them in a bowl and mix them until the sugar dissolves. It'll dissolve. And then you won't have it'll be good. You won't have any problems with that. So that is also something important to know, is you actually don't need. I'm literally getting it to the point where it's just dissolved and I can feel the heat coming off of it and I'm turning it off and I'm tossing the rosemary into it. I'm going to do kind of something. I'll bring the pot over here so that you guys can kind of see me working over it here. I'm going to kind of do something that you would kind of do if you were making a steak. So if you are making a steak at home and you're cooking it kind of the way that a restaurant would cook it, you've got it in your pan and you've just flipped over from the first sear and you flipped over to the second one and you've got it searing on that. At some point, you're going to toss in a little bit of fat. You're going to toss some butter in, maybe some garlic, maybe some rosemary, and you baste it, right? So that's essentially what I'm going to do because I have only essentially a half a cup. I have like 120 mils by volume worth of syrup in that pot. And it's not a lot and it's not going to cover the rosemary all the way. So I'm going to turn it to its side. I'm going to kind of baste that rosemary to wilt it and get those flavors into the syrup. And then I'm going to let it sit and steep for a little while. Ooh, my wife makes her own rosemary and makes a rosemary water to spritz her hair with. That sounds fantastic. Yes, please. That sounds great. Okay, we are almost done. This is almost fully dissolved. No. No, I don't need the camera on it. Do I feel like that's a quarter cup? I feel like that's a quarter cup. Maybe slightly more than it. Yay. Okay, so this is done. Okay, our champagne is done. I'm gonna add sugar to this now. Now that I'm following my own instructions. Okay, so we need more sugar. And now that I used my quarter cup there for the champagne, I can't use it anymore, but I can do these guys. So it's gonna be 4 tablespoons is the equivalent of a quarter cup. So 15 mils by volume, 4 times is 60. And that's essentially what we're just gonna do some quick maths. Okay, so now let me double check. We've got a quarter cup of our refined granulated sugar. So we've got our champagne in a small saucepan. We've reduced it by half. We're pouring the sugar in. We're stirring until it's dissolved. And then we are good and we're ready to let that cool. And that is our champagne syrup. So essentially what we're doing is we're reducing it to concentrate the flavor of the champagne. And then we're making a syrup from it. Because if you did the like just a quarter cup of champagne and added sugar and like made a quick syrup, the flavor wouldn't be strong enough. I'm just gonna give the pot a little bit of a shakedown over here. Okay. I am gonna also add a touch of salt to this guy as well. A couple granules. If I had a spatula and I was actually giving these like a good stir every now and then or was constantly stirring them, it would also happen faster. Okay, we're gonna turn this back burner off. Here we've got our syrup, tossing those guys in. And then I'm gonna get a spoon real quick. Sure, why not? We'll do a soup spoon. So we're gonna do that, and then we're kind of I'm just gonna like press them in and kind of just give them a little bit of a baste and make sure that we are getting them nice and warmed up and wilted in this syrup. Until you can smell the rosemary coming off of it. Once you can smell the rosemary, you're good to let it sit and steep for a little bit. Okay. My champagne syrup is almost done. It's even a pretty color. Like, how pretty is that? Nice like blush color. Let's see. Almost done. I think I'm just gonna let that, I'm just gonna do this until that goes the rest of the way because this is ready to dissolve all the way. We don't have much left. Cool. Okay, I am going to let this, I'm actually gonna put this on a cold surface. Let's turn off all my burners. I'm gonna set this on a cold surface over here so it can cool just a touch, and then I'm gonna put that into my refrigerator. I'm gonna let that cool the rest of the way as well. Okay, so let's go back to our barrel aged situation over here. I've got my simple syrup on the back, kind of chilling over there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to just pour the remainder of the ingredients that I need. One is agave, one is honey. I'm going to pour their amounts into this guy, and then I'm going to set it aside, and these two, this will go into that syrup to make our triple syrup, right? So it's got a base simple sugar, it's got a honey, and it's got agave. It's got three things, triple simple syrup. I swear we name things with appropriate names and that everything makes sense. Cocktail names are kind of notorious for like not making any sense, but the syrups are good. The syrups make sense. Okay, so I'm going to end up with, like I said, it was 4 to 2 to 1, right? So I've got a half a cup here. Okay, so a half a cup is my 4 ounces, which means I need 1 ounce, no, 2 ounces, 4 to 2 to 1. I've got that situation there. I need 2 ounces of this, and then I need 1 ounce of honey. And so that's kind of where I'm moving myself down. Okay, do I have any questions? So if anybody that like wants to know anything is making this now and like maybe wants to know what's up. Any questions at all? Okay. So we'll do 2 ounces of agave, 60 mils. I'm going to find my mils here, which I never get the first time. Okay, 60 mils of agave. It was just enough. And then we need 1 ounce of honey. So I've got 4 ounces of simple syrup, okay? Back there, 120. I need 60, 2 ounces, okay? And then I need 30, 1 ounce of honey. Okay, we're gonna take this from 60 to 90 because we can do displacement and do math. Yay. Okay. Got a ball of honey in the middle of this guy. Okay, and then I'm going to need a little whisk to kind of bring them together. Okay, and this will end up in this syrup. Once this is done steeping, that smells really nice. I'm gonna move this into, I'm gonna move this into our refrigerator, and I'm going to bring this guy out, and we're gonna start building our first cocktail, which I'm very excited about. Okay, so Our first cocktail, the cranberry-ginger French 75. Let's get going. Need my shaker, which I placed somewhere back here. Gonna move some of this stuff out of the way. I've got some stuff here for straining and for making some garnishes. You guys tell me if you want me to make some garnishes. I don't know. I thought that maybe I could show you guys how to make some garnishes, but we're just playing around, so. Sometimes a garnish is as simple as, hey, let's put a piece of rosemary in this to let people know there's rosemary in this cocktail. But there can be some fun stuff to do with peels and things like that too sometimes, so. Okay, take out some of these ingredients. Okay, so I need my gin. I'm gonna need some lemon juice. Okay, so we've got the lemon that we zested for this earlier. I'm going to be squeezing out some lemon juice for this and also for the bee's knees when that comes, so I'll probably do more. $60 mils, 2 ounces. 60 mil is not 62 ounces, 60 milliliters. 60 milliliters, 2 ounces. Trying to make sure that I am supporting our friends on metric. Okay, so I've rinsed my little citrus press. I don't know what I want to call this guy. It's like half reamer, half press. We'll make it work. You want some garnishes? Okay, I can do it. I can do at least one garnish. We'll do a grapefruit garnish for the Negroni. We'll do the same garnish that I had in the pictures. And I can maybe do something interesting with this guy too. Okay, so let's do, so this is kind of interesting. I guess we can say this. So we originally said we were going to use the zest of a lemon, right? And I've zested. So something important to know, and which is kind of cool, is that once you've taken the zest, right, the peel off the outside or the skin, I guess, on the outside of the lemon, that top layer, they're they're so much easier to kind of squeeze for the juice. Because you've taken some of the structure of the citrus off of it. And if you can get them at like room temperature before you go to use any of your citrus, you're gonna end up getting more juice out of them. If you have a piece of citrus, lemon, lime, whatever that looks like, and it's still kind of hard and underripe, obviously it probably like flavor-wise won't be as sweet as it could be because it's not fully ripe. But if you feel like it's just really still, like you're not gonna get any juice out of it, pop it in the microwave for like 10 seconds and warm it up a little bit. And that's gonna get those juices kind of flowing. And then also taking the palm of your hand and kind of just rolling into the heel of your hand from the center into the heel and kind of squeezing down is again, like, so this was like a really hard lemon. It's like a really hard lemon. And now I've got all of this kind of just hanging out ready for me to juice the lemon to my content. So we are cutting through that, and now we are going to, like, it's already kind of like ready. Now we're gonna juice it. I honestly feel like I should be using the big juicer on this. This is a ginormous lemon. Okay, I am. We're moving to the big guy. This one was meant for grapefruit, but today it's meant for lemons. Okay. So I am going to end up straining this when I make the cocktail. So I'm not uber worried about straining my citrus juices when I'm kind of making it because I'm going to double strain on the way out. So like double straining does two things. If you do not strain your citrus and it's got pulp in it when you use it while you're like measuring out your ingredients, it strains out the pulp, right? So it strains out any sediment, any pulp, any kind of things that you don't want to have in your cocktail, but it also strains out ice chips. So if you're drinking a cocktail that belongs in like a coupe glass, doesn't have extra ice in it, and like you're kind of just sipping, so say something like a martini, right? They're supposed to be super, super cold. And then you're supposed to have it in like a beautiful glass and it's clear. So those ice chips, not only do you kind of feel them on your tongue, right? And so you're getting a different texture than you're supposed to have when you're drinking that martini or that cocktail that is not supposed to have ice in it. It's chilled before you drink it, and then you drink it without ice. It creates a weird kind of texture, and then also it clouds up your spirit. It clouds up your cocktail in a way that you maybe don't want to have if it's something like a martini that is supposed to be just like super translucent, super clear. So because I am double straining and I'm straining for ice chips, I'm also gonna just not bother straining beforehand. Sometimes if I'm making a cocktail that does belong with like chipped ice or like over a lot of ice, I will strain the citrus juice first, and then I will make the cocktail and just pour it right into the glass, and I don't need to worry about those little ice chips, so I don't care about them, and I'll strain it beforehand. But right now I'm gonna just strain everything after because, yeah. So I need 1 ounce of lemon juice. I've already got 1 ounce in here, so I'm going to move, let's see, we're gonna go to 60 milliliters total. So I've got 30, remember I've got 30 milliliters already of our cranberry. And now I'm gonna add another ounce of lemon juice to this guy. And then I also am going to need about 2 ounces of gin. Now I have in this recipe, I have Empress gin written. You don't need to use Empress gin. It's just kind of was like a pretty color. Like I was using the purple one, which is very citrus forward. And it was a pretty color and it made the cocktail look even prettier, and it's not necessary. Just get a citrus forward gin. You can use something like, I really like Leopold's summer gin, specifically summer. They have a couple of different styles of gin. Summer is a citrus forward one. If you get just Leopold Bros gin and it doesn't say summer on it, chances are it's their like regular, their OG, their original batch, and it's peppery, like black peppery, and that's not gonna go well with this cocktail. So specifically the summer one for Leopold's, but something like Bombay would be good. Botanist would probably be good. I know firsthand experience that the Kirkland brand gin, citrus forward, that works, that's cheap, that's good. So yeah, we're trying to do imperial and metric, make sure everybody gets what they need for this. Red Hood, that's a good joke. Okay, so we need 2 ounces, 60 mils of a gin, and I'm just gonna keep adding to this glass, why not, right? So we're going all the way up from 60 to 120, so we're adding 60. We're just gonna build right in the glass. And then I will pour this over ice and shake, pour into my cocktail glass, and then we'll top it with some of our sparkling wine here, our champagne here. So I did say that I was going to use this. I used this for this. I feel like I do have another. I do, look at me. I love mini whisks. Mini whisks are probably one of my favorite things to have in the kitchen. They are my favorite. They're just so easy. They fit in everything. You can use them for spices, for mixing spices and all sorts of stuff. Okay. How pretty of a color is that? Isn't that nice? Okay. And this is basically our cocktail. It's just not chilled yet. You want to have it as a gimlet, just have it like this. Okay, so let's get some ice. Okay, this guy right here. I'm gonna do a two big pieces of ice. I'm gonna take out my coupe glass here. There's I think his name, I wanna say his name is Thirsty Whale. I wanna say it's Thirsty Whale, is the content creator on Instagram that I follow that makes cocktails. And I was joking this morning, I was like, have some class, freeze your glass. And then what's the other one he does? He says, don't be a poop, freeze your coop. Which I think is hilarious. So I've got a nice frosted glass situation here. I've got some big chunks of ice. The smaller the chunks of ice that you have, the more diluted your cocktail will be. So it's important to use larger chunks of ice in your cocktail. Oh, it looks like I've got a little extra left over in there. There we go. That's good enough. So you want to use larger chunks of ice. I feel like this is now going to be a very loud stream that I was not prepared for. And I apologize. I'm going to mute you while I'm shaking this because it's going to get quite loud. You can turn it down. Okay, my husband's going to turn the volume down so you guys' ears don't break off. And a 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Yes, you can shake it without the sparkling wine and then add it. That's what you're supposed to do because the carbonation from the wine will be very, very not good. And because I do have pulp in this and there are ice chips, I'm actually going to do this. So this is a super, super fine mesh strainer. This is not like meant to be a cocktail strainer. The cocktail strainers actually aren't quite as fine as this one. So it sometimes takes a little while for this to go through, but this is okay. It's such a pretty color. But you can see I've got like the pulp kind of going through from the lemon and the ice chips and stuff. Cool. Okay, and now we're going to top with 1 to 2 ounces, 30 to 60 milliliters of our sparkling. And we're going to have at her. And that's our cocktail. That's really nice. Yum. Okay, cocktail number 1 is done. I know so many high-end bartenders that use the normal ice strainer on the tin and also have a mesh strainer to get it extra smooth. Yeah, so this is a Hawthorne strainer. So this is like if you don't want your ice, obviously, right, to fall out of the strainer. So you don't want like broken pieces of ice. If you've muddled like strawberries or basil or anything like that in there, and you also don't want chunks of that to fall out, it's for like larger pieces. And then the fine mesh strainer, that smaller strainer, is to get those ice pieces and any pulp that kind of makes it out from between those. But yeah, this is a Hawthorne strainer, and then that's a fine mesh strainer. And they're used kind of together to get proper mouthfeel and to make sure that you're not getting other textures and stuff in your cocktails that aren't supposed to be there. Spirits in a bottle, gin and gin, like it. Chilling the syrup a bit more, but it came out great. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, I'm going to move on to my next cocktail. I'm going to set that aside. I'm not going to finish a whole cocktail as we go. That would be a fun stream, that's for sure. It is my birthday. I mean, it should be fine, right? I'm allowed. Okay. Just gonna rinse some stuff off so that we can use it again. And we're gonna move on to our grapefruit champagne Negroni. I've got my champagne syrup mostly chilled in the refrigerator by now because it's really not, it doesn't make a ton of syrup. If you wanted to make more syrup, I think it makes enough for like 8 cocktails. If you want to make more syrup, because you have like a bunch of people at a party and you want to batch it or something like that, I highly, highly recommend that you just double the recipe, triple the recipe, like whatever you need to X by. You can absolutely do that. Okay. I'm actually going to put this back in the freezer. Why Why not? Okay, back in the freezer she goes. Want to make sure that I have all the things that I need to move forward. Okay. Okay. Back to where we were. Let's reset. I need this one's got quite a bit going on in it. We're going to need grapefruit juice, so I am also going to rinse this. Maybe, because we are going to end up needing more lemon juice for our bourbon barrel aged bee's knees, but right now we need some grapefruit juice, and this is the size juicer that we need. I think I've got about everything that I need. And I am going to actually pour this into this one this time. Okay, are we ready? Let's do this. So I need an ounce. I only need an ounce of grapefruit juice. So I'm just gonna cut this in half. I will probably eat the other half at a later date. If you're making multiple cocktails, obviously you need more grapefruit juice. Actually, before we do this, for those of you who wanted a garnish, let's do a quick talk about, because I'm going to end up cutting this in half and it's going to be harder for me to peel off of it. So let's talk real quick about this. Okay, so I have peelers, okay? This is a regular vegetable peeler. This is what's called a Y peeler. I wonder why it's called a Y peeler. Shaped like a Y. Okay, now this is what I used to use for a garnish. This is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible for a garnish. This peeler does not peel deep enough into the pith for you to have like a really sturdy piece of peel in your citrus. Okay, I'm specifically talking about we're doing some citrus garnishes. I used to use this. It's good in a pinch, but a Y peeler is still not good enough. I'd like to introduce you, and I will do both of these. I would like to introduce you to the cheese peeler. So this is meant to peel pieces of cheese, right? So if you've ever seen that like cheese curl where they like pull across the top of the cheese, that's what this is meant for. But it actually is so good at peeling citrus. This became a really trendy thing to use last year with the bartenders that are content creators online, and or just like in general the cocktail persuasion content creators. And I was influenced, and I hope I influence you because it is just so much easier and it's so much better. If you are the person that like wants to express citrus over, say, if you're doing like aperitifs or digestifs and you want to have just a little bit of like a spritz of some kind of citrus over the top of it, old fashions, if you're into old fashions, or if you like to make garnishes, this is going to be way, way better. So before I cut this whole thing in half, we're gonna take this. So you're gonna just run it across, right? And now I have a nice thick piece to work with. You can make them longer if you really want to. That's just kind of where I'm going with, and I'm gonna show you this guy real quick. So I'm pressing really hard. I can see the oil coming, like shooting out of this. So not only am I disturbing the oil in the skin of this, look at the difference in the backside. I guess I've got this here. Look at the difference in the backside here. I have so much more structure to play with on a garnish with this guy than I do with this guy. Is this adequate? Yes. Is it gonna be, this is not going to stay as long, it's not gonna be as good, and it's definitely not gonna give you the same kind of situation here as like if I were going to express this versus like trying to express like with this guy, right? So like this is great if you're making like an oleo saccharum where you don't want pith. But if you're looking for a garnish or you're looking to express and you wanna have structure and you wanna have pith behind, because this is not going to flavor what you are making, you're only using the oils and then kind of tossing it in as a garnish, and this is not like actually being used for flavor, this is your better option. So we've got Y peeler for oleo and for like things that you're trying to flavor where you don't want pith. And then when you do want structure, you do want pith, use the cheese peeler. I'm literally, yes, I'm cheesing it. Yes, I am. That's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so we'll save this. We're going to put this off to the side. We'll use it for a garnish later. But I did want to do that before I ended up cutting this open and then like couldn't find enough space to, goodness, couldn't find enough space to peel, get a nice thick wedge. Okay. Let's get this on. We're going to do some squeezing. I'm going to put this, actually, I don't like this sitting out. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. Let that stay chilled. We're going to let that stay chilled. Okay, this is obviously more than I need, but that's okay because I will probably be making more of this one. Is this my favorite? I don't know. I can't claim my favorite. I think the bourbon barrel aged bee's knees squeaks it out on this one. That's probably one of my favorite cocktails. But this one's really high up and I'll probably want to have like multiples of this one. Okay, so let's do it. I need 30 mils. Okay, we need 1 ounce, 30 mils of fresh squeezed grapefruit juice. Okay, mango juice. Oh, got some seeds going on in here. I'm gonna end up straining this out anyway, but let's try not to get too many seeds in it. Too late. Oh well. Seeds it is. Close enough. I may strain this. I'm gonna strain this into another cup. Why not? No seeds. Thank you. Please and thank you. Okay, so we got our 30 mils of grapefruit juice, 1 ounce of grapefruit juice. I'm gonna set this guy off to the side. We need, I've got our egg white in here. I guess we can do that. We'll set that off to the side. I've got an egg already in a container. I've got my egg. Okay, we're gonna split this in half. I want egg white in one, egg yolk in the other. We're gonna be using egg white to create a foam. If you are vegan, you can use a non-animal byproduct like a fee foam, Fee Brothers, who also did my grapefruit bitters here. They have something called fee foam, and it is a vegan thing that you can use for foam. You can use aquafaba, which is the water that's kind of left over from soaking chickpeas, garbanzo beans in water. That can also create a good foam. You can use xanthan gum. You can use, I'm trying to think if there's another thing. There's like a ton of different things that you can find online to use. Fee foam is probably the one that is most commercially used by bartenders, and a lot of times they won't even use eggs because it's expensive to keep wasting yolks. Or even just like get cartons of like egg whites. Like sometimes those can kind of have a little bit of an off flavor. So fee foam is actually used a lot in like bartending scenes. So this is just because this is what I have readily available to me. But yeah, I'm gonna be using an egg white today. You do you with what you want to do. And we're gonna go with it. Oh, I love that you know what that reference was for. Thank you so much. Thanks for following me with that reference. That's so funny. Okay, crack your egg on a flat surface, not on the side of a dish or a cup or something like that. Egg shards can end up inside your bowl or like kind of pushed up in between the shells. If you crack them on the side of a sharp surface, it kind of pushes everything up in there. A flat surface is the best way to crack an egg. Yes, it is a heated debate. No, nobody can agree on it. It's my preferred way of doing it. It is what it is. So the whole debate, right, is that if you're cracking an egg on a thin surface like this, you're going to push up through that kind of membrane that's on the inside of the egg better, and it gets through that. Sometimes if you crack on a flat surface, you don't push through that membrane as well. And then you end up like having to kind of like peel it and you end up with more egg shards anyway. But the flat surface, I find less issues with the egg shell shards kind of getting places if I'm doing it on a flat surface. So that's the way that I tend to do it. I'm going to put the egg yolk into the refrigerator so she's not sitting out, and I'm going to take out my syrup here, which has nicely chilled. So you can see, maybe you can see how that's kind of thickened quite a bit. We'll do a spoon, that'll be better. So you can see how we have a syrup and that tastes like sweetened champagne and it's really nice. Okay, cool. So I've got my chilled champagne syrup here. I have, if you're here at a later date, I have somebody in my chat making joke after joke after joke, and they're all puns, and puns are my favorite kind of joke. And I'm having a problem keeping a straight face after reading them. Okay, I'm gonna give this, I'm gonna put this in a bigger bowl than this. I cut them into bowls. All right, I opened the egg up into 2 little containers just to kind of like separate them well, but I need to be able to whisk this. So I have a whole egg white here. You do not need an entire egg white for a single cocktail. Like, let me just start there. 2 to 3 cocktails can be made with an egg white. You really only need about 15 grams of egg white for like a really nice foamy cocktail. The shaking that you're doing is really important in the size of the bubbles that you're going to be getting, and then the amount of foam and how long it's going to stay. I would argue that the shaking and agitation is equally as important as like how much egg you put into your cocktail to get that layer of foam, but you really don't need that much. But you do have the problem, right? Is that you can kind of see. Let me see if I can. We'll rinse this off. I'll try to do it with the spoon so I can show you guys. The problem, though, is that you end up when you, if I can even do that, when you got your egg white, it's like the albumin, right? Is your egg white? It's not happening. I can't show you. But it's like kind of like a big piece of egg white and then a little bit of like stuff that just kind of hangs out around the like excess. So if you've ever made like a poached egg, okay, for those of you who've made poached eggs or eaten poached eggs, and it's like a beautiful little envelope of like boiled egg that was like boiled in water, right? So there's the egg white that's like really intact and like all in one big piece. That is the main part of the egg white. And then you have like all the other stuff that's kind of like runny and a little bit watery, and it kind of is like on the outside. So when you're making a poached egg, you kind of like want to get rid of that and then keep that really thick piece of white of the albumin with your yolk intact on the inside. And that is how you get like a really pretty poached egg without all of those like little extra strains and strands of like egg white kind of coming off of it. Is you kind of get rid of that. You strain that off and then use just that one piece. But I have both of those in this bowl, right? And I want to use not an entire egg white. So what I'm going to do is I am going to give this a really good whisk until I've broken apart that big chunk of egg white. I hate, that's such a crap, that's a terrible word. But that big piece of egg white, and I've mixed it really well with the kind of watery portion of the egg white together so that I'm not wasting any of the egg white, and I can spread it further because I've broken it up, and I can split it up by weight. Just egging me on. He is. Love the puns, man. Love puns. Oh, it looks like we've hit an ad break, so I apologize to anybody who's in the Twitch stream. If you're in YouTube, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're in the Twitch stream and you are not subbed to this channel, I apologize for your ad. When you come back, I will apologize again because you can't hear me. Okay, so as you can see, now I can kind of do this. Before I was even trying to use a spoon, right? And nothing was coming up with a spoon because it was like that kind of big part of the white was just kind of sliding off the spoon and taking the rest of it with it. But now I can measure out 15 grams worth of egg white and I can get several cocktails out of this one egg white. Okay, so we've got our egg white, we've got our squeezed grapefruit juice. Now we're gonna start building our cocktail. We're gonna get ourselves going, okay? I'm gonna use another coupe glass. I've got another frozen coupe glass in my freezer. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a dry shake. Okay, so I'm gonna put all of the ingredients minus the champagne. We don't want anything carbonated. We're gonna put all of our ingredients minus champagne into this guy, and we're going to give it what we call a dry shake. That means no ice, okay? And the reason we're gonna do that is because it starts to aerate all of those ingredients together, and then once you add ice to it and do a second shake with the ice in it, the foam is going to be creamier than if I had shaken it with ice and then just poured it right in. So you do a dry shake, no ice, then you add ice, you do another shake, and then you're going to strain your cocktail into your glass. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out the rest of my stuff. I've got my champagne syrup, got my egg white, got my grapefruit juice. We need some Cocchi Americano Bianco. So that is a Bianco vermouth. Vermouth is essentially, it is wine that has a little bit of spirits. Typically it's brandy, sometimes it's some other stuff, but it's got a harder spirit added to it, right? So wine with a harder spirit. Originally it was brandy and it was used so that you could lengthen the amount of time that you could drink said wine without it tasting terrible. The more alcohol that you add into something, the longer it lasts. That's why you can have a liquor cabinet. I don't know if you guys can see my liquor cabinet with all these things sitting out non-refrigerated, but your vermouths, please, 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 your vermouths need to be refrigerated. Once you open a vermouth, it needs to be in your refrigerator and it'll last maybe 2 months before the flavor will start to go off and it'll start tasting a little sour because at its heart, it is wine. Vermouth is really like, unless you have an Amaro, or a vermouth that's like in the stronger section, so something that's like at say 30% alcohol, that if it's 30 and above, you can stick it in your pantry and you do not need to refrigerate it. If it's under that, typically vermouths are about as alcoholic as wine, if not like slightly higher, but they're typically between say 15 and like 19% alcohol. Those need to be refrigerated. Or they will start to go off. So you're gonna wanna put that in there and then you can leave it in there for a month. This specifically, this vermouth, the Cocchi Americano, okay, let's do this, is an American style vermouth. And I say that in the UK, if you wanna call something a vermouth, it needs to have wormwood in it. And if it doesn't have wormwood in it, then you can't call it a vermouth and they'll just call it like, you know, an aperitif or like kind of just, it's like in the category, it's going to be in that section of the store, but they don't quite call it, like don't quite categorize it as vermouth because it doesn't have wormwood, and this doesn't. So this is what we would call like a modern vermouth or an Americanized vermouth or something like that, which is why they call it Cocchi Americano. It doesn't have wormwood in it. And it is really heavily citrus forward. It's really wonderful and light in things like Negronis, and Aperol spritzes and just like really kind of like lighter cocktails that you're going for, that you want to have like a little bit of sweetness, but you don't want to have all of the other flavors that you would get in a vermouth. Oh no, you're anti-bitter drinks? Yeah, this would not be the drink for you because I'm definitely using Campari. And I love bitter drinks, which is kind of funny because I hate coffee unless it's like really sweetened and weighed down by a ton of milk. But I actually really like bitter drinks. I like Suze. I think Suze is really good, and that's probably one of the bitterest Amaros and like bittering agents and things like that that you can add into a cocktail. Okay. So we've got I think I've got all of my stuff here. We've got the gin, we've got our quote unquote vermouth, we've got our Campari, we've got our juice, we've got our champagne, we got everything. There's quite a bit of ingredients to this one, but I swear it's delicious. Okay, so let's start building. I've already got this guy poured out. We've got 1 ounce, 30 mils of our grapefruit juice. I'm going to need, let's see. what did I do? Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna read this real quick. I've already done that. Okay, we're gonna add everything. It says add everything. We're adding everything. Okay, so I've got a half an ounce of my champagne syrup. Okay, so we're gonna go from 1 ounce or 30 mils to 1.5 or 45 mils. We're gonna make that work. Okay. Okay. There we go. We've got another half ounce or 15 mils to add. So I'm going up to 2 ounces or 60 mils if you're building in a measuring glass like I am, of our Cocchi Americano, of our vermouth. Got 1 ounce of our Campari. This is 30 mils. So I'm going from 2 to 3 ounces, from 60 to 90 mils. Okay. Adding in my gin. Just going little by little up down the list, right? We got another 1 ounce. I did actually specify Leopold's for this cocktail. It's really good in this, but again, any citrus forward, you'll be fine. So this is another single ounce. So I'm going from 3 to 4 ounces, going from 90 to 120 mils. Okay. Yep. Oh, this one doesn't have this in here. Okay. Okay. Everything. Okay, so this is everything, and then we got our dashes. 2, 3 dashes. If you have, I will say this, if you are gifted, because I was gifted, and I do use them, so it was a good gift, but if you are given anything like this, and it's got these little guys, right? These little bitters. A dash out of this guy is very different than a dash out of this guy. You need like 4 or 5 of like heavy shakes to get a single dash out of these compared to this. So just be aware that like if you think you're doing a dash out of the little ones, you're not getting nearly enough. Do 3 to 4 shakes for a single dash from a regular bottle. Okay. So this one says 2 to 3 dashes. I prefer the bitters, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do 3, but it's 1, 2, 3. Okay. And you can do that, honestly. I should have poured it and just used like the bigger surface or the opening, but it's fine. Okay, so we're going to toss this in. Okay. Got everything in there. I feel like some of my syrup sank to the bottom. There we go. And then we're going to weigh out. Okay, I'm going to weigh out my egg. Bring this guy over here. And again, remember, I'm going for 15 grams. Okay. Okay. Basically on the dot. So you can see, like, look how much I have left. Like, I got 2 cocktails out of this, right? You don't need a whole egg white if you're planning on using it. Don't waste, okay? It's not necessary. It's not going to do that much more. Like, yeah, you'll have more foam, but it's not going to do like enough to be like a real situation. Okay, what I am going to do right now is I am going to rinse another bowl. I always forget how many bowls and cups and spoons and things I need when I make cocktails. I'm going to grab just some ice, and I'm going to grab my coupe. So we're going to go back to our ice. And another coupe so that we can shake and pour right in. Okay. I'm actually going to put my ice into my glass just to keep it chilled for as long as we can. And I'm going to move this guy back over here. Okay, dry shake, okay? Volume down, please, husband. And here we go. Oh, this one actually doesn't make any noise. That was kind of funny. Once I add ice, it will, though. Okay. So we've got a little bit of foam going on in there, and now we're gonna do ice. Drop them in there. And again, give it a nice little bang. We're gonna do about 30 seconds. So we did 15 seconds, now we're gonna do 30 seconds. Okay. And now we are going to do our double strain situation right into our coupe. You can hear the ice chips. So that's the whole thing, right? Is like you're not supposed to have those ice chips are not supposed to like be hitting your mouth when you're drinking a cocktail. It's supposed to be nice and smooth and velvety. And so you're double straining that out. So there's your Negroni sour there, your grapefruit Negroni sour. Oh man. That's so good. Yeah, I may have more than one of these. That's really nice. Super creamy foam. You can see, got really tiny bubbles going on. Was I in the wrong place for that? Sorry, husband. I don't know if you can see how creamy that foam is. Really, really tiny bubbles. And let's go ahead and make that garnish real quick. I couldn't help myself. I drank it before I made the garnish. Okay, so we'll do this guy. Actually, I can make the garnish with both so you guys can even see the difference there. So we're gonna take our paring knife. We've got our two peels here. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna peel straight down the sides so that you have like a nice long, even line. And then you're going to cut at an angle. Okay, and then you're gonna just right down, give it a little bit of a bend, and she's gonna go on your glass. If you bend this ahead of time and then like leave it out a little bit, it will be better, but it'll work. And so there's your little garnish right on the side of your glass. Super easy. Me looking at my bottle of Arbor Mist with absolute hatred. That was my mom's favorite like wine cooler. She had Arbor Mist in the refrigerator all the time when we were younger. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing, but you'll see how different. I'm trying to make this so that I'm not wasting any of it. Of a situation we have here. So this guy's longer, which I think will end up with a better kind of thing going on, but he's not gonna. Like he's gonna fold faster because it just doesn't have as much structure. Multiple garnishes here. Yeah, it's like not as nice. Just get the one that has the pith. These are good. Like this is okay if you're gonna like wrap it around a metal straw or something like that and have, but like it's gotta sit for a little bit because it doesn't have the structure. It's gotta like dry out. So you almost need to like wrap it around a metal straw and then like leave it to sit for a while and dry out, which is kind of unfortunate. There we go. Nope, it's not gonna stay. We're trying. Let's just do this. Get it to stay like that. I guess something else that we could do real quick. We'll make it for the, we'll make this for the bee's knees. So I've got here, this is a citrus zester and channel. So this is a 2-in-1 piece. You really only need, like I'm looking to use the channel. This is one with just a channel in it and not the zester at the top. The zester is basically that, right? So you can get little pieces of zest the same way that you would use if you were using like a microplane or like the box grater or something like that. But then they also come, a lot of them will come like 2-to-1 with a channel, or you could just purchase a channel, but the 2-to-1 is better. I got this from like somebody who was getting rid of a bunch of stuff in their kitchen, and I was like, that's great, I'll use it for pictures and stuff. But here's my channel. I unfortunately am left-handed, so this becomes really weird to do because usually you're supposed to pull it towards yourself. So I don't use channels very often, But I'm gonna try to make this work today. Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the channel and you're gonna run it underneath the pith and just keep going. And you're gonna make a really long piece. Dang it, I can't do this. Okay, we're gonna do this right-handed. Screw it. We're gonna pretend that I'm right-handed today. Can't do it left-handed, unfortunately. Maybe if I could find a left-handed channel somewhere, that would be great. But you're gonna kind of go, and you're gonna go a little bit at an angle, the same way like if you were going to peel an apple and you wanted the whole peel to come off, that way when you can get a really like nice long strip. Okay, so you have a nice long strip, and then this gets wrapped around. We'll use a different guy, a metal. I have a lot of metal straws down here. Garnishes need lots of care and attention, right? You're gonna wrap this around from your channel, and then you're just gonna let it sit and dry out and try to take shape. We'll see how long that takes. It usually takes a little bit of time. So it's usually like the first thing I do when I'm like starting to make cocktails is like I'll like prep the garnishes and I'll let them sit and just kind of dry out. But essentially that can go on top of our next cocktail. I'm going to take another sip of this before I start it. Okay, let's do the same thing we did before and rinse out all of our stuff here. Okay. It doesn't make sense not to reuse things. So I know like I'm kind of ending up with water on my surface here, but we're making multiple cocktails. So that's just kind of what happens. You could batch all of these. You could make, except for the very first cocktail, the French 75, because you're topping it with champagne, you could batch the base and then just pour and then top as you go, right? But you can, like all of these, you could batch. The only thing that you have to do if you're going to batch and then have these cocktails in a like refrigerator, just kind of like set and chilled and ready to go to pour for people when they come in, is you're going to need to add water. So as I'm shaking these cocktails, right? So I'm shaking them up with ice in there. It is dissolving. The ice is chilling your cocktail, but it's also dissolving and it's diluting your cocktail, right? So a cocktail, if I were to pour it, like I was pouring in here and building my cocktail in this and then pouring it into the ice and shaking. If I was going to drink straight from here, it would taste very different than taking it, pouring it out of this and into a glass and then drinking it. And so what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're adding a little bit of water to your batched cocktails to make sure you're properly diluting it for the correct balance and the correct flavor. So what I highly recommend, especially if you're doing something that's like really strong, so say a Negroni. Everybody has a sweet spot for their Negroni or like a mint julep or something like that. Where like there's a specific point of dilution where you're like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, right? So what you're gonna wanna do, stick with me. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna weigh all of your ingredients, shake, right? Or stir to the proper dilution, pour it out, right? You're tasting it, you're like, this is perfect, weigh it again. So weigh it, taste it. If it's at a good point, the difference between the original weight and the second weight is how much water was added to your cocktail to get it to the dilution that you like. Typically, that's around 15 milliliters of 15 milliliters or a tablespoon of water per cocktail. That's usually like about the amount of dilution that you're getting if you're using like big pieces of ice when you're shaking. And so I would kind of you can err on that and just kind of like use that as like a catch-all. But if you want to have like what is your specific dilution that you like to have, that is how you can find it, is you weigh your cocktail, you shake, you strain you strain it back into the thing, kind of like weigh it and find out what the difference is and like go from there. But that is like highly, highly recommended. Ooh, there we go. I'm gonna put my egg white into the fridge because I don't want it sitting out. But that is like how you can figure it out. But you like basically batch it, and for every cocktail you make, add about 15 milliliters to maximum 20 milliliters of water per cocktail that you've batched. And then you don't need to shake with ice. You don't need to do anything. You just need to pour it into a chilled glass and call it a day. Do I ever use saline in my cocktails? Yes. Honestly, use saline in all your cocktails. Anything that's shaken, like, or sometimes stirred, but mostly shaken, go ahead and add some saline to it. You can even just add, like, I was adding salt to some of my syrups to kind of take the place of that. It just boosts the flavor a little bit, right? So it brightens the flavor, it boosts the flavors. All around cocktails with like some kind of like 2% saline solution in them are just gonna end up tasting better than the other ones. That's correct. But yeah. Okay, we're gonna make our last cocktail, which is our bourbon barrel aged bee's knees. When I say bourbon barrel aged, I do not mean bourbon, I mean bourbon barrel aged gin. My favorite one, I have a couple in the house, but my favorite one is by a company called Big Gin. I believe they got bought out by, I want to say that the company's name is Hood River. I want to say that's correct. And you can purchase this online and have it shipped directly to you, which is fantastic, which I have done. Because I couldn't purchase it from Big Gin. They were too small, but they still make it. So they're producing for another distiller that bought them out, but it's still being produced. They have this guy, they have a bourbon barrel aged gin. They have a London Dry, which is also very good. And then they have a peated gin, which is super cool, that tastes a little like scotch. So if you like scotch, but you don't like gin, that may be like a good place for you to kind of like break into the gin scene and find something a little more interesting for you. But that one is a really cool one too. But I really, really like this bourbon barrel aged gin that they make. And so I will be using that. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator as well. Why not? Let's do it in the door. Move all my stuff back. Okay. Syrups. We have our rosemary simple syrup here, and then we have our honey and our agave. I'm going to now mix those. Let's see, now that we've done this, will that be better? A little bit better. I think I sliced it a little bit too much, but that's pretty good, right? There we go. Once it sits for a little bit and it dries out a little bit, it'll work. But if you want something fast, you're making the cocktail right there and you don't want to like prep a bunch of garnishes, just like having the pith on it, it's just easier. Okay, so those were the garnishes. We're going back to the cocktail now. Okay, I'm going to take the rosemary out. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to give it like a little bit of a strip down here. There we go. Take that off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this right into my simple syrup. And I do have some small spatulas. I know I had one at some point that was there for the cranberry, but I'll use this guy instead. Oh, there he is. I like that one better just because it's got a flat, I'll use this one. I rinsed off enough. It's got a flat edge on one side, so when I go into a cup like this, I can get into the corners. It just ends up being easier. Okay. I'm gonna mix this up just a little bit. They're all different viscosities. So honey is thicker than agave, which is thicker than simple syrup, right? And so you end up with kind of like something slightly thinner than agave. Right? But thicker than a basic simple syrup. This is basically the texture and the viscosity of like a rich simple syrup, of a two part sugar, 1 part water simple syrup. But it's got so much, the flavor is just so much better. Okay. So for this guy, I've now got my rosemary triple simple syrup, which I have not tasted yet and I really want to. Fantastic. I've got my rosemary triple simple syrup here. I need to squeeze out the second half of my lemon. Okay, because I'm going to need some lemon juice. And then I have my gin. This one is I say it's a 3-ingredient cocktail, but you had to make the syrup. So it's a 7-ingredient cocktail, I guess. Once you have the syrup though, like this syrup is super good on ice cream. It's really good in coffee. So like if you make a latte, it's almost like a warming rosemary kind of latte. And like that can be super, super nice. This is not doing it. This is too small of a juicer for a lemon, for this lemon. It's just it's a good idea to just get into salting individual ingredients in recipes. If you properly salt whatever part, like not even just for cocktails, for anything, for desserts, for like if you're just cooking, like sauteing or roasting or whatever you're doing, right? If you properly salt the individual parts of every meal, when they come together, it's just going to be better. It's just going to be better. Salting at the very end is not going to build flavor the way that salting each individual thing is going to do for you. That should do. That'll make it. Okay. I need 2 ounces of this guy. There we go. So 60 milliliters of my bourbon barrel aged gin. I'm actually going to do the syrup first, just so that I can build better in this thing. I only need a 1/2 ounce. So I need 15 milliliters of syrup. Did I? Oh, I didn't even pour to 2. Jesus, I poured to 1.5. Let's fix that. Hello. Okay, better. Okay, we're gonna need a 1/2 ounce of this guy. Okay, and then I need 3/4 ounce or 22.5 milliliters of lemon juice. This is my cocktail. I'm trying to decide what glass I want to use this for. I think I'm gonna we're gonna have some fun. I have a Nick and Nora glass, but I also have like a tiny rocks glass. This is such a small cocktail. It's such a small cocktail because it's really just the juice, the sweetener, and the liquor, right? And so like you can have like some fun small like rocks glasses and things like that. You don't need, or even like a Nick and Nora, you don't need like a coupe or like a really big glass. Like you don't even need, you don't need something as big as like a huge rocks glass. You can use something smaller because this is all that you're kind of adding, right? So you can have like a Nick and Nora glass, which looks kind of like this. This is not enough liquid for a coupe, but if you did something like one of these two, that would be fun. If you want to have this poured just straight, so shaken and poured straight into a glass, you can drink it like that. You can also drink it with a nice big ice cube in there. This probably won't be tempered enough by the time that I pour this, so it'll end up cracking in the middle, but this is some clear ice. It's fine. We're gonna be fancy for no reason because it's gonna crack when I go to pour it. If you are using clear ice, if you made yourself clear ice, you probably already know this, but if you bought some from the store, so here's some clear ice. If you bought clear ice from the store, I think now you can buy like spheres of clear ice from a lot of supermarkets and grocery stores. You need to temper your ice before you pour your cocktail. I know that you're shaking and chilling your cocktail with ice, but it's still too warm to pour directly over ice that just came out of your freezer. What you want to do is you want to have this in a glass, chilling for at least a minute before you put a cocktail over it. If it is still too cold, you'll see this will start to kind of like turn translucent again. So it'll go opaque, right, as warm air hits it, and then it'll start to temper and it'll start to turn clear again. And once it starts to turn clear again, you can pour your shaken cocktail over the top of it and it won't crack through the middle and it'll be nice, beautiful, clear ice. But if you pour a cocktail over the top of it, even if it's chilled and it's not yet tempered, it will crack and you lose that kind of like really beautiful, just like clear ice whole thing. So you spent the money to get clear ice and then you ended up cracking the ice because you didn't temper it first. So temper your ice if you are, fancy because it's a birthday drink. But if you're going for fancy, then yes, you are going to please make sure that you temper your clear ice. If you're using clear ice and you're trying to be fancy, temper it first so that you don't waste your money, because I don't want you to do that. Okay, so let me get some ice to shake with, which is not clear ice. It's just ice that I put in a silicone mold so that I would have large chunks of ice for less surface area. Okay, I am actually going to also give this a little bit of a mix in before I pour, because I've got syrup that has rested at the bottom of this and it's probably stuck in the corners. So I'm going to let the thinner liquids pull that out. Going to pour, actually this is supposed to be in here. We're going to pour into this guy. And then pour into this guy. Give it a hit, and here we go. We're about to shake. And 3, 2, and 1. Grab our little guy here, and we're going to do this. Like, it's such a small cocktail. I think this is a 6-ounce glass. Like, this is such a small glass. And then we can grab our little guy here. Fun little curly Q that we made. Put him over the top. Now, I will say, if you do a curly Q of any kind, even if it's like a thicker one, right? The second it touches water, all of the dehydration that you've done to create the curl will undo. So just know that like it looks really pretty for like a little bit, and then the second it touches the water is gonna be gone. So we're gonna let it I'm gonna snake it into the cocktail, and it's just gonna unravel in there. But that's okay. So we're going to taste this guy. That's really good too. That's really good. Man, I really like that cocktail. Okay, this is going to be a great birthday for me. We finished all the cocktails. Does anybody have any questions? I know I went back and forth quite a few times, and so there was a bit of chaos, and I just want to make sure that we're all in a good place. First we did our cranberry-ginger French 75s, right? We made a cranberry ginger syrup. We did our whole cocktail situation with that, where you make your base cocktail, pour it into a chilled coupe, and then put a little bit of sparkling wine or champagne on top of that, right? Make it really festive. Then we moved into our grapefruit and champagne Negroni sour. And that is where we made a champagne syrup for that one, right? We squeezed out some grapefruit. We basically made ourselves a Negroni, added some grapefruit juice, and added in some champagne syrup for that one with an egg white, made it nice and foamy. I've still got that one sitting out with me here. Okay, and then our last one here was our bourbon barrel-aged bee's knees, which has a rosemary triple simple syrup that has honey and agave and a space rosemary simple syrup in it. Super good. All of them honestly feel just so holiday forward for me. Very like, especially this guy, like with the honey and the rosemary, super cozy. I feel like this is probably this, and then because you're already making cranberry syrup, the cranberry ginger French 75, those two are probably like exceptional for like a Thanksgiving. If you're in the United States and you still have Thanksgiving coming up, that's probably a great thing. The grapefruit Negroni sour is absolutely like where I thrive. So I would have this like any time of year, but this is, I would say, probably the thing that has champagne in it and this guy are very Christmas and New Year's feeling to me. Have another sip of that. Oh God, that's so good. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else that I could add to this? Does anybody have any questions? Ooh, okay. So, okay. For those of you who are here at a later date, I do have a friend of mine who is making cocktails with me and got gin, but got like what is considered the precursor to gin, which is called Genever. And that's where they essentially, I think, what was it? We were talking about this in Discord where they were making Genever and then the people couldn't get their like hands on it and we're like, well, we'll just make our own. But it didn't taste the same and they didn't have all of the same ingredients, though they did use juniper to flavor it in the same way that now we have gin flavored juniper. And because they couldn't make the exact same thing, they couldn't call it Genever and they called it gin. And so that's kind of where the origin of gin, like originally was Genever, then it was gin, called gin, and that's kind of where we have that today. But they're saying that aged Genever and like barrel aged bee's knees is awesome. So apparently, if you can find some aged Genever, that works just as well as some barrel aged gin. I made the cranberry and ginger, and even if it's made wrong, it's right. I agree. Wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm just gonna go back and forth between these cocktails. Okay, let's do a little bit of quick housekeeping here and put some stuff in my sink for me to get to later. I'm gonna clear up my workspace so that we can do our outro. I know I kind of went over all of the cocktails. I'm gonna pull my one cocktail out again. Actually, we'll just leave this here. Okay, so half drunken something cocktails all out on display. I feel terrible about how messy this looks right now. I'll end up washing all this. Okay. Hi there. So here are our three cocktails. Our three situations. I've had some of them, as you can tell, but they're all quite good and they're great for the holiday season. And if you like any of these flavors, if you like something that is fresh and tart and really just lovely, the cranberry French 75 is yours. Cranberry ginger French 75 is definitely the way to go. If you are into bitter cocktails and you love like a good, creamy, delicious bitter cocktail, this is where you're gonna go. Also, if you don't have any family members that can't drink or that are okay, if you have all of your family members are okay drinking grapefruit juice, because I know sometimes that can like grapefruit, it can kind of be like the delineating factor between like, can I have it or can I not have that? Please pay attention to that. Ask for like, medicinal. This is like whatever. This is a thing. I almost brought this to a friend's house, but they were on metformin and they can't drink grapefruit. So I had to scrap that and make something else. But yeah, check in with your in-laws if you're going to make this, or any friends or something like that. Check in to see if they can have grapefruit before you decide that you're going to give this to somebody. But it is an exceptional cocktail. And if you like bitter things and you like Negronis, this is absolutely great for your next holiday situation. And then honestly, also very cozy with our barrel-aged bee's knees. Honey, rosemary, gin, it's delicious. Any one of these would be great on your holiday table. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you're able to batch the syrups that you needed and any other stuff, and you've come away with enough knowledge to make these at home for yourself. I will see you guys next month. I believe the next one is going to be the brown butter snickerdoodles. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some snickerdoodle cookies. I figure it's December, Christmas cookies are the thing, so we'll be doing some cookies. And I will see you guys then. It'll be December 7th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. So go off of that. I want to say that it's -4 UTC, but I'm not sure if that's the exact time. It may be either -4 or -5. Whenever daylight savings comes through, it's like always a couple of weeks off, and I'm never sure like what like standard times or where. But it is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and so you can go off of that for whatever time zone you might be in. And I will see you then. Thank you for joining me in the Little Spoon Kitchen. Thank you for celebrating my birthday with me with these wonderful cocktails. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, I do have a Patreon. If you want to support, it's essentially so that I can create community and so that I can not have ads on my website. I'm trying really, really hard not to have ads on my website. And the monetary income that I get from my Patreon members kind of helps support me, like kind of offsetting, right, whatever income I could be getting off of my ads. And so it's a great way to support. If you want to just support and that's basically it, that's as far as you need to go. But if you really want to be a part of my community, I would love to have you. If you do become a paid member of my Patreon, it gives you access to a private Discord server. We talk about food, we post pictures of restaurants we go to, give recommendations, post pictures when we fail at something and like talk about what went wrong and like all of the other stuff that we're doing kind of day in, day out. And I have like a behind the scenes where like I'll ask questions. Actually, everybody in Discord helped me figure out what I was gonna do for the cook along next month. So there are polls every now and then that come in that's like, help, what should I do? So if you want to be a part of the community and come hang out with us, it's a really good group of people. Patreon is the way to do that. Like I said, it gives you access to Discord. Otherwise, like, subscribe on any of my channels. I am on Instagram at _little_spoon. Unfortunately, I was not there soon enough to have no spaces or other characters, so the underscores are necessary. But you can find me there. My website is alittlespoon.com. Like I mentioned, I've got my Patreon, and I think that's about it. But if you do happen to make any of these recipes or other recipes on my website, please, please, please. I'm not usually this person. It's really hard for me to advocate and like ask for things for people for me. But I will do it now. Is if you do make a recipe and you like it, give it some stars, maybe make a comment on the website. It's really good for SEO. It boosts my recipes when people are searching in Google for like what to make that day, kind of a thing. So it's really helpful. So it's something that you can do that's like a non-monetary thing, but it's still really helpful for me as a blogger and as a food content creator. So thanks very much for joining me. I know that was a lot and kind of rambly, but I will see you next time. Bye, everybody. Cool, cool. Do you want to come have some of these, baby, before I finish them? Because I'm staring at them and wanting to finish them. A slayer. It does. I am a lightweight. Okay. Force grapefruit on friends and family without telling them. Please don't. Yeah, see? There you go. Lazy, there you go. I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for people like you. I don't want anyone to have an issue on the holidays, right? We don't want that. Oh, so like a mocktail. That's really cool. Okay, so B Sims in chat, I won't out you. I won't dox you. I made cranberry ginger syrup, For those who are making a batch of it for family gatherings, my niece was obsessed with it in Sprite last Christmas. So if you wanted to do a mocktail situation, Sprite could work for you. Nice. Do I feel at home in my new kitchen? I'm getting there. I still open up cabinets expecting like one thing and it's like not in that cabinet, or like I'll pull out a drawer and it's like not what I wanted because my brain's still at my old house, but I'm definitely getting there. Which cookies? Lazy, which cookies have you made? I have a couple of cookies on the website. The chocolate chip cookies? I do miss my old kitchen. But I miss my old kitchen because my old kitchen was designed by me, right? So like I laid it out the way that I would use it. And now I'm coming into somebody else's layout and having to make that work, right? So like I'll get used to it eventually, but like it's definitely different. The snickerdoodle ones? You've made the okay, tell me what you think about the snickerdoodles. This feels like a super controversial snickerdoodle because I don't use cream of tartar. I hate cream of tartar. Cream of tartar tastes like metal to me. I don't like the flavors that are going on in it, and I was like, what else can I use to get that same level of tartness, but not be cream of tartar? And I will say too, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about the food bloggers that make snickerdoodles, but it's really just a sugar cookie wrapped in cinnamon sugar. Like a snickerdoodle is not a sugar cookie. That's not the flavor you're supposed to get. And I used to get so frustrated over it that I was like, you know what? I'm making my own. But I also hate cream of tartar so much that I was like, I gotta figure this out. I don't like metal. Yeah, so cream of tartar has citric acid in it. And the citric acid is what gives it that flavor, but it also has other stuff in there that gives it like to me, I don't know, to me it has like a metallic taste, and I'm not a fan. And there are a ton of Slayer, I agree. I care too much about food that doesn't matter. There are too many fake snickerdoodles out there. I don't like sugar cookies. So the fact that there were so many sugar cookies that just were called snickerdoodles made me like completely just so angry. I'm so angry about something so silly.
What's your favorite? I've already chosen mine.
Probably the Negroni one. I knew you were gonna say that though.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy birthday.
I have friends who love to make snickerdoodles and I have to bite my tongue every time right? I'm saying. I don't like sugar cookies. And so I was like, what can I get? I was like, what can I add to the dough, right? That's going to give me a level of like sourdough tartness, fermenty, funkiness to make it not be a sugar cookie, but also not have cream of tartar. And I landed on buttermilk powder and it worked really well. Sugar cookie, you know what, Bethany, I agree with you. I know people are gonna be super upset about that because I know like the whole Loft House cookie trend is like really, it's still that people make those like really soft sugar cookies that you like put frosting and stuff on top of it, that they're like really, really popular. And they're like in every grocery store. Like every grocery store has like a generic Loft House cookie at this point. And I know that everybody really likes them, but I don't do sugar cookies. I need something bitter. I need something to offset. Like I need tart or earthy or nutty or like something bitter. Like I just need something to balance the sweetness, and sugar cookies just are not it for me.
Pure sugar.
I agree. Oh no, is that a hot take? I don't like sugar cookies.
Are they easy to make?
They're really, yeah, sugar cookies are really easy
There you
to
go.
make. Yeah, they're really easy.
That's the answer.
People like Loft House for the icing. Really? I thought it was because it was like a soft sugar cookie. Like it like perpetually soft.
I put these in Arc Raiders. I need to upgrade my Scrappy.
I agree with the ginger snap thing. Why do people think ginger snaps are ginger molasses cookies? Like why? Why do people conflate? Like it's not the same thing. Like snap, it's supposed to be like a really like tough like biscuit cookie like snap. It's supposed to be I agree. I agree, Whiskey Bomber. I'm also not a fan of icing. It's too much sugar. Chocolate chip, snickerdoodle, macadamia, top 3. Lazy, that makes me nervous. It makes me feel like, okay, I love a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie. I'm not gonna lie. Chocolate chip is up there for me. Snickerdoodle, probably not. I really like alfajores, and that is on my to-do list of cookies to make and perfect. But I want to make dulce de leche from scratch, and that sometimes can take a while to perfect, unfortunately. Oh yeah, like extra ginger, so ginger snap, absolutely.
Is this the rosemary sugar?
Yes, that is. Are you gonna make another one?
Yeah.
I left some lemon juice for you. I thought you might want to. For someone that's never baked in his life, how hard is it to make these snickerdoodles next month? I mean, I'm gonna say they're not hard. I'm gonna say they're not hard. If you can make a cookie, you can make a snickerdoodle. I will say that it's not as simple as like a single bowl, like you just keep adding ingredients and mixing until they're done, because I have toasted milk powder in them. So what I am soon to be colloquially calling brown butter powder, they're essentially brown butter snickerdoodle cookies. So it's not just a straight snickerdoodle. I put brown butter powder in them, which is taking powdered milk, right? So milk powder, powdered milk, and you put it on a saute pan over like medium heat, and you stir it until it browns, and you toast all of those milk solids, and that is the flavor. So like when people talk about brown butter, right? So like every baked good has a brown butter variation at this point, because that is like the thing to do, is to like, oh hey, this is really good, let me do brown butter version of this. Instead of melting butter and toasting the milk solids in the butter to get brown butter, I'm just browning the actual milk solids and not the butter, not melting and browning the butter. And so I make a big batch of that and then use that in a lot of my baked goods. And that kind of makes it more difficult than just make a cookie, but it's not that difficult. Like I feel like it's not, I don't know. I mean, Bethany, you've made brown butter several times. Like it's not that hard, right?
Her recipes are so good, a noob could do
It's
it.
worth it.
I could do it.
It's worth it.
So it's
You,
on
dude, yeah, I was gonna say, did you just add a goal?
goal. For the next time, I'll be content.
Yeah, so chat. I didn't do it for this month, but it's on my list. I was working on I was working on an oatmeal cream pie cookie situation, sandwich thing, but I was using apple cider. So it's like an apple cider oatmeal cookies, right? So like that soft, chewy, really bendy cookie. Like it does not get crispy. It is meant to be a soft cookie, right? The same way that you think about like an oatmeal cream pie, like Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies, right? So I've got an apple cider oatmeal cookie, and then I made apple cider caramel and I whipped it to make the center. The problem is the name is so long, I have no idea how I'm supposed to title the recipe and or try to get SEO for it. So I've been avoiding it as a recipe. But that is up for maybe December. Maybe. But I don't like raisins, guys. I'm really sorry. I use date paste, which is essentially raisin paste, right? Oh, thanks.
Who let Chuck on stream?
It needs more syrup. Just a little bit. It's a little too heavy on the lemon. Syrup's back there. Apple cider caramel cream pie. Yes, but also not great for the trolls of the internet. The snickerdoodles are so good. Honestly, okay, so like let's chat about this real quick. You don't have to wait for me. Like obviously, like I'm gonna make them next December. I'm making them December 7th. You're welcome to hang out and make them with me. I'm gonna have to run them upstairs because I don't, as someone noticed while I was streaming, there's no oven down here. So if I want to bake anything, I'm kind of screwed. But an air fryer, no, that would not be a good cookie. That would be a weird cookie. That'd be a really weird cookie. But if you want to make them beforehand, let's do like, oh no, ad break. You're subbed. We're fine. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking because you're subbed and you can still hear me.
B Sims is not.
Gift B Sim a sub.
Easy bake oven. Use the light for the heat. Take an hour and a half to make a cookie. Tamale casserole sounds fantastic, and now I need it. Aw, thanks, Skinny. Okay, you're listening. So the snickerdoodles. Oh, that was nice. Thank you. The snickerdoodles.
Little left.
Right? So like the butter, they've got toasted milk powder, right? So they're like almost like a caramelly sugar cookie, right? So if you think about like a graham cracker caramel sugar cookie, okay? That's the base flavor that you're tasting. Then instead of cream of tartar, which to me is like sharp and metallic, I've used buttermilk powder. Goodness. Sorry guys, I've been drinking. So you use a buttermilk powder, which gives that same tartness, but without the sharpness. So it's almost like it creeps up on you. Like it's so balanced. It's just so well balanced between the buttermilk powder and then like the caramelized kind of flavor you're getting from the toasted milk powder and the sugar in general that's just kind of like bringing it together. It's like a really nice balance. And then they're soft and chewy. So you're not gonna get where like cookies will spread and you get the crispy edge and then like the gooey center. They're not like that. They're soft all the way through, right? And then there's like a tiny bit of chew to them. And because I add cornstarch to it, so the cornstarch gives a little bit of softness and a little bit of chew, and they're just so good. They're so good. I really like them as a cookie.
Could you make
to be honest?
Could you make us?
You want to make?
75?
You want that? Okay, cool. Yeah, I can do that.
Do I need to get another egg?
Thanks, Eddie. No, because that was the Negroni one. If you want a French 75, that's this guy.
What?
I need the cranberry syrup.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the sour.
Yeah, I need. Oh, you want the sour?
The one with the egg.
The one with the egg in it. Yeah, I need
Eddie,
the egg. Eddie!
Look a little left.
Do you know? Okay, is that where he is?
Oh, come on. I can't see it right there.
The imaginary little lip.
Imaginary.
Corn, tapioca, or rice flour should make for two. Yes.
Which one's your
There is
favorite?
egg white in the fridge.
Which one's your favorite?
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
So grab. I need Campari. I need the Cocchi Americano. I need the gin. I need the egg white that's in a metal bowl up top. And then I need the champagne syrup that's on the stove top. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Sax is back, yeah, because we're not in the playlist anymore. I have Campari. I need the Cocchi Americano, and I need the gin. Perfect. And then I think that's enough gin. If it's not enough, I have another bottle in the pantry or in the cabinet. Everybody does love birthday sacks. I agree.
The summer gin.
Yes. It's my, honestly, okay.
How many letters off are we from leopard?
This is my favorite gin. This is my favorite gin. And you know what's super cool? Okay. I'm gonna gush right now. So they're out of Denver. So they're in Colorado.
Oh, they are.
They're in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And every single location, so New Belgium, and then there's a chocolate place called Nuance Chocolate in town that I've been chatting with. And also, like, just every place that I have talked to that is like a base ingredient or collab kind of food industry place has worked with them. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I live in a state that does the kind of food collabs that like don't exist in Florida in the same way. And they do all sorts of stuff. Like they send their barrels all over, and they will like source ingredients from places, like even like they'll source ingredients from here for their distillery down in, like I'm so happy. I'm so happy because like it seemed so far away, and now like I'm like right there. At some point, I have to do a tour at some point, but for now, yeah.
Might as well open it up.
Happy birthday. I shouldn't be on stream right now. Okay, I'm a lightweight. I don't fare as well as others.
What have you eaten today?
A protein bar and a latte.
Wow, that's a lot of food on your stomach before drinking.
Yeah, it is.
Cocktail.
I didn't drink all of them, just most of them. Okay, let's pull this back up. Hey, Scooter Pops, did you make it? What did you think?
There's no way he's still here.
He said he was making it.
He's playing Arc Raiders like everyone else.
You're having your drink now? It's so good. Yay! Hey, Lindsay, so if you're doing, because I know you said you were doing the French 75, if it's a little tart, because here's the kind of play in the joints, right? Is it's like
What?
play in the joints, flexibility when it comes to recipe making,
Okay.
right? Is it's like sometimes things are off season and they're not as ripe, or they're not as sweet, or they're not as this, or they're not as that. And so if you feel like it's a little too tart for you, add just a little more syrup and you'll be good. Like don't, like I know it's
Every
really
taste is different.
right. So it's like it's really easy to sit and like be like, oh God, this recipe is written like this, let's follow it like this. But if you taste, like if you make one and you taste it and you're like, hey, this is not sweet enough, it's slightly too tart, add a little bit more of the cranberry syrup and then like go to town on it and shake it. And just like batch it that way, like make one, taste it, decide what it needs, and then like go from there. Literally what we did. I had a feeling, cause like so like this right now, this is a little tart for me. I probably would have added more syrup than what the recipe called for because these lemons weren't super ripe. And so that's kind of something that you fall into, is it's like when a fruit is off season, it's not typically as sweet as it should be. And so it's like, if I'm making something at peak and seasonal for when something is supposed to be, then yeah, it's gonna be great 100% of the time. But if I'm off season or I'm not quite there and stuff isn't quite ripe, then you end up having to like add extra sugar or extra something to make it there. And so just do that. I'm glad, look at you. I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
That's why you always say add to taste at the end of every recipe.
I know, I feel like I should, but I also feel like that's like a cop-out, right?
Well,
But it's true.
It's
Like
true.
salting to taste, adding whatever to taste, like they're absolutely, but it's hard. It's like one of those things where like you're making a recipe for people that may or may not be comfortable in a kitchen, right? And you want to make sure that they're getting the best experience and they're making the best recipe they possibly can. And you don't want something to fall flat for someone, but like nothing is ever the same. I may use a spatula and scrape out every last bit of syrup from this, and somebody else might just pour it out and like leave whatever's left, and then you've got a different volume, right? And so it's like everything is just different, and it's kind of hard sometimes to like make things right.
Mezcal.
I
Knowing
love
how much we love smoke.
I love mezcal. Yeah.
Right? And then like only add as much smoke as you want because we like smoke.
Yeah.
And like other people cry.
What are we? The blue hair and the bluish apron. Blue is my favorite color. Can we tell? Can we tell blue is my favorite color? Although I will say
I do have blue eyes.
It's a well balanced meal. You have a blue car too. His car is the same color as my hair, and people always ask me if I dyed my hair to match his car. Yes, because I absolutely do everything because of what my husband has. I know, I did do that. That was my bad. I hate electric cooktops. I only like induction.
Negroni.
A chimichurri? You want me to do a chimichurri recipe? That won't happen until at least February, but maybe. You want me to add it in there? It's my Subaru? No way, I can't even drive that thing. It's definitely not mine.
Not yet. Another subathon goal. Carrie learns how to drive a stick.
Not on stream, I don't. That would be a very nerve-wracking situation. I did put, so Dad wants my gumbo so bad. Oh my God. That was a good gumbo. You guys should definitely make it.
Oh, Emily?
Yeah. You should make it again. You really should.
Whoa.
Hey, stop it. Don't make fun of how I say my uncle's name. Okay, Emily.
Whoa.
Emmy. So, I don't know anybody else with that name, and I grew up saying your dad's name the way that people in New Jersey or New York would say your dad's name. And so I say it with an accent, and everybody makes fun of me when I'm saying, like, basically speaking with a non-accent, kind of like a generic, like, whatever American accent. And then I say Paul, and people are like, what the hell? But you're like literally the only person I've ever met with that name, so it's the only way I say it.
Not making fun of you. I'm just repeating.
Christmas. Oh, nice. Don't ever change. See, she told me not to change.
Ha.
So it's fine. I say coffee too. I say coffee. I say water. Water. I don't even know now anymore. I say water. And then I say Paul. And that's fine. Those are the three things that I say with a New Jersey accent or a New York accent or however we want to do whatever.
All right.
It's fine.
Make this Negroni sour. Then we can end
Okay.
this.
Yes.
And then celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, I have. So for those of you who are part of my newsletter, I do a monthly newsletter at the first of the month at noon ET every month. If you've signed up for it, you kind of know what's going to be going on. I do links for the upcoming cooking streams and replays, links for chit chats coming up and replays, and then links for recipes that are coming up, and then like, hey, this is the recipes I did last month. So there's kind of like a catch up, and here's what you're to look for over the course of the month. And so I have a newsletter that goes out, and I am planning on doing a chili recipe. I was on the fence about it, but I decided I needed to do it because I made a batch of chili, and it just turned out so good, and I'm just gonna do it. So I do have a chili recipe coming up if anybody's interested. That will be, it's on the docket for November. I do, I say Paul, it's fine. It's fine.
What the heck is all this?
What's all what? I don't know. It's been up the whole time. I can't see half the chat.
There you go.
Thanks. Okay. let's do our Negroni sour. I really want to know what Scooter Pops is, if he's still here.
3 hours in one stream.
He was in YouTube.
I'll text
He's
him
probably gone.
separately. What was he making?
The Negroni sour. I want to know what he thinks.
All right, I'll text him.
Do you actually have his phone number?
No.
Just
Discord.
Discord? Okay. We're Discord fiends. It's fine. Okay. I need one of these guys. Pardon-moi. Pretty sure there's still ice. There is. Oh no.
You said Negroni
Actually,
sour?
yeah.
There you go. Now we wait.
Carrie wants to know she's dying.
Chad, I would like to remind you that I only have one stream next week because I'm going on a totally normal vacation by myself. Lep NDA, Lep NDA. Totally normal vacation. Are there any other content creators going on totally normal vacations next week?
That's a good
The sound of a cork popping up.
sound. It just feels celebratory.
Normal destination attendance, NDA, yes. Solo vacation.
It is a
yes.
solo vacay.
Another solo vacay.
I have the kids.
They're gonna show the roadmap early. There's this whole joke with Bungie and Destiny right now about like, what's the roadmap? What's coming up with Destiny? And they like keep not releasing it because they're like, I guess, still changing things.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna get to see the roadmap early. Woo! Wait, no, I'm going on a totally normal vacation. Empty?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. You need any more?
Nope.
All right. Well,
I told you I had exactly what I needed.
true. I did open. Next one. We just call it Leopard's Gin. Destiny 2, the final order shaper. Love it. Malcor says, interested in the chili, but debating about heading to the store now to try the tomato basil bisque and adding jalapeno.
Ooh, you should do it. You should definitely do it.
Are you influencing Malcor to go to the store?
You should definitely do it, but add a serrano instead of a jalapeno. But wait, do you like spice?
Clearly.
No, jalapeno is not spicy. That's what I'm saying. If you want just like vegetal, but not spice, go with poblano or Anaheim. If you want some spice, throw some serrano in there. Jalapeno is like a throwaway chili for me.
Wow.
Nice. I'm so excited. That makes me really happy, actually. Okay, and then we'll throw the rest of the egg white in. Okay, dry shake and then a white shake. Ooh. Apologies for the sound. My husband is not monitoring it.
I can shake it.
There's no sound for this one.
Oh.
It doesn't have ice in it yet.
Oh, do you need ice?
I will in a second, yes. There's some just in the little bowl that's underneath, down in the second drawer. Yep, there should be some ice right there. Just grab one.
Just one?
Yeah, just one. Thank you. Now there's gonna be sound.
It's really not that loud. Oh, Scooter said at his wedding,
What?
he had a tiki Negroni. That's
Ooh,
one of his
I bet that's
cocktails.
good.
So he loves riffing on them anyways. I'm like,
Where's the strainer? The fine mesh, the little guy right in front on the right. Yep. Thank you.
That looks. The egg makes it look so. It makes it so creamy.
Yeah. Yay. It's so good. There you go. That's yummy. A little sweet too. If you want sweet, in all honesty, if you want a little bit of sweetness, I would do a couple of things depending on how spicy you like it. Okay, if you want sweetness and you're okay with a medium heat, go with a Calabrian chili. If you want sweetness but you want it to be mild, go with a yellow pepper. If you can find an ají amarillo or a yellow pepper, do that. If you like heat and spice and you want sweetness, go with a habanero. Take that with what you will. For your tomato basil bisque. And then also, like, tomato basil soup is the exact same recipe without cream. A medium, I read medium there. A soup is a bisque when it has cream added to it, and that's it. Smoked habanero would be very good in that soup, just saying. Medium is where I live. Yeah, get a like a jar of Calabrian chilies and just toss some Calabrian chili pieces into the soup before you blend it. You'll be in a good place. There's no fuel in it, so you can't start it.
Oh, but normally press it.
Yeah, you would up and then you twist and press.
Oh, okay.
Here. There's a million safeties to it for obvious reasons.
True.
Yep.
All right.
I'm gonna pull that fact out and look like such an expert in the kitchen.
Time to take a bite.
Yeah, we gotta be careful with left in the kitchen. Gotta be careful. Okay, it is time to say goodbye. We have been here for a long time. I had several cocktails. Happy birthday to me. I'm so glad to be so happy to be celebrating with you all. And I will see you guys at the next cooking stream on December 7th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Happy birthday to me. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me at the A Little Spoon Kitchen today. Very glad to have made some festive cocktails and happy to see you guys next time.